Welcome to a world where your status is decided the moment you're born. You're either a dominant alpha, a delicate omega, or just a regular beta. Meet our protagonist, Prince Yukayen, the most powerful alpha in the dynasty. He's got the looks, the power, and absolutely zero patience for gold diggers. When a noble tries to push his daughter on him, our guy literally smashes his tea in a fit of rage. He's never been married, and he plans to keep it that way. The only person he actually trusts is his adopted son, the handsome Yin Jun. Yin Jun is the ultimate loyal dog, following every command without question. Our prince even decides to play matchmaker, telling Yin Jun to marry the family. Yin Jun looks absolutely crushed, but he agrees to the arrangement anyway. But just as our prince thinks he's secured the future, disaster strikes, one bite of fruit and he's suddenly coughing up blood. This legendary alpha has been poisoned right in his own home. Everything fades to black as he collapses in total shock. He wakes up in a cold, dark room, blindfolded and chained to a chair. He tries to snap the ropes, but his legendary strength has vanished. Suddenly, the door creaks open and a terrifying figure steps inside. It's Yin Jun, but he's not here to rescue our hero. He calls our Prince Zhuming and looks at him with pure icy hatred. Our nugget is beyond confused. Why is he being called his son's name? Then the horrifying truth hits him. He's somehow reincarnated into his own son's body. Yin Jun pulls off the blindfold, looking like a total psycho. Yin Jun leans in, whispering that he's gone completely insane. He accuses our hero of poisoning the Prince Akka, his own former self. Our poor hero is trapped in a nightmare. He catches a glimpse of his reflection and realizes he really does have his son's youthful face. Desperate, he tries to tell Yin Jun that he's actually the master, but Yin Jun just sneers, refusing to believe a single word. He tells our hero that the prince is dead and he personally carried the coffin. But wait, the icy Yin Jun is actually crying. It turns out this loyal dog was secretly in love with his master all along. Our boy is completely blindsided by this sudden display of emotion from the man who was just threatening him. Is his vision blurry, or is this cold-blooded warrior actually weeping? He's the one being interrogated, yet he's the one feeling sorry for his captor. Seeing the usually unshakable Yin Jun this broken over his death is a total shock. Our hero sighs, feeling like he's looking at an abandoned dog that needs a hug. But don't let the pretty face fool you, because our boy is already breaking free from his restraints. He's mentally roasting the amateur-level imprisonment skills of his son, while revealing the sharp stone he used to grind his way to freedom. It took some frantic, ungraceful wiggling on the floor. But he's out and ready to tease the man for being cute when he cries. He decides it's time for the truth and drops the ultimate bombshell. He is actually the late Zhou Yukayen. Yin Jun doesn't take the news well and lunges with lethal, terrifying intent. Our hero barely manages to scramble away, realizing that the man who was just crying is now 100% ready to murder him again. He tries to stay calm, but this new body's internal force is a chaotic, unstable mess. Yin Jun slams him against the wall with zero mercy, leaving our boy coughing and struggling to catch his breath. Yin Jun sneers, calling his claims a cheap, desperate trick to escape. Our hero is fuming, wondering if this guy has actual brain damage. The atmosphere turns toxic as Yin Jun mocks the idea of a murderer having rights. He demands to know why the real Zhou Yukayen would ever be murdered by someone as pathetic as him. Our hero just smirks through the pain, asking if Yin Jun really thinks the real Zhuming could have ever dodged those attacks. He looks him dead in the eye with the fierce gaze of a lion. Spotting a tiny opening, he strikes back with precision. He laughs, reminding Yin Jun that even in this weak body, he's still the old fox who spent 30 years ruling the underworld. He's the one who taught Yin Jun every single skill he possesses. Yin Jun is shaken to his core as his master's aura radiates from the boy. Our hero grabs him, asking why he's hesitating to use the knife if he's so sure he's lying. He sees right through the man. Yin Jun's heart actually hopes the impossible truth is real. He confirms it once more with total confidence. He is Zhou Yukayen. To prove it, he offers to share oral confessions, secrets from Yin Jun's childhood that only they know. Yin Jun remains cold, refusing to believe a single word that comes out of his mouth. So our boy proposes a high-stakes bet. Give him 1 month at the residence, and he'll prove his identity through his daily habits alone. Yin Jun stays silent, weighing the options while our boy swears to God he won't run. Finally, he agrees to the gamble. But a gamble needs chips. Our hero doesn't hesitate. If he fails to prove himself in a month, his life is forfeit. But if Yin Jun admits defeat first, then his life belongs to our hero. Back at the residence, the servants are losing their minds seeing the crown prince return alive. Our hero immediately demands a hot bath to wash off the prison drama. He catches everyone staring blankly at him and wonders why Yin Jun is acting like the hero who found him. It's honestly weird being shorter than everyone now. In his past life, he was the one looking down on Yin Jun. He stares at his new reflection in the water, still coming to terms with the fact that he's in his son's body. Even though he prepared himself, the reality of the situation is still nerve-wracking. Yin Jun catches him spacing out and demands to know what he's doing. Our hero just wants to escape reality for a second and play in the pond. Suddenly, Yin Jun moves. Without a word of warning, he kicks our boy straight into the freezing pond. It's a total savage move that leaves our hero fuming. Yin Jun just stands there, warning him to never challenge the patience of a lunatic. A supervisor interrupts the chaos, ignoring the drowning prince to serve Lord Yin. Our hero realizes with a chill that Yin Jun has already seized control of the entire residence and its people. He feels the internal force of this body and knows he isn't ready to take back the throne just yet. He vows to the original Zhu Ming that he will fix this mess and eventually return this life to him in its entirety. But suddenly something shifts in the air. Yin Jun smells something, pheromones. Our hero starts burning up, thinking he's caught a cold from the water. But Yin Jun realizes the terrifying truth as our boy's face flushes a deep red. His heat cycle has officially begun. Our poor heroine suddenly realizes this new body's heat cycle is hitting like a freight train. She's trembling on the floor while the crown prince looms over her. Lord Yin tells the steward to back off, even though the steward insists he's just a beta and totally safe from the scent. Our girl tries to act tough and hold it in, but the steward warns that Lord Yin is a prime alpha who won't be able to resist. This omega heat is no joke. She's feeling hot, limp, and dangerously itchy. She begs Yin to stay away, but he's already reaching for her. Before she can even process the shock, he savages the situation by sweeping her up in a bridal carry. She's protesting like crazy, but he's convinced his alpha scent is the only thing that'll bring her relief. He's the legendary heartless blade of the kingdom, and he proves it by slamming her onto the bed with zero mercy. She thinks she can just endure the fever, but then he tosses his cloak over her. Our girl catches a whiff and wow, it actually smells incredible. She's low-key sniffing it for comfort, knowing that an omega needs an alpha scent to stay sane. She tries to tell him it's unnecessary, but he pins her down with a terrifying gaze. He tells her straight up that her life is worthless. The only reason he's keeping her around is because of the engagement left behind by his dead master. Our girl is shook. She realizes this guy is a total nutcase. She tries to argue that he shouldn't be forcing this marriage if he hates her so much. Quoting his own father's words back at him, he just tells her to stop putting on an act. He presses her face, noting that she's being way too chatty lately. She panics, realizing she almost blew her cover. Is he really just using her as a substitute for her past self? She remembers him saying she looked just like Zhou Yun. If this brat tries anything, she's ready to deliver a savage kick that'll end his bloodline right here. He's leaning in closer and closer, and she's internally screaming for a savior. Luckily, the steward saves the day by knocking with the medicine. She's sweating bullets, begging for the meds. She kicks him back to get some space, regretting that she never made this original host practice martial arts. She downs the medicine, wishing she could just marry this body off and be done with it. But the drama doesn't stop, as he still thinks she poisoned his beloved master. She's got a massive headache trying to clear this misunderstanding. She wonders what the heck happened to everyone after she died. Finally, she demands the rest of the medication. Lord Yin stands there like a statue. He hands it over and casually drops the ultimate bombshell. Take your pants off. Our girl's soul practically leaves her body in shock. Calm down, girl, he just means the medicine is for external use. Yin Jun drops the bombshell that this medicine is for external use only. Our poor heroine is absolutely floored externally. Apparently, oral meds for omegas over 20 have nasty side effects, but he's not giving her a choice. He literally starts pouring it over her like she's a houseplant and demands she strip. This heat flower serum is supposed to suppress the heat, but the delivery method is straight up chaotic. She finally snaps, promising to undress if he'll just stop making her sticky. He watches her with those intense, predatory eyes that make her skin crawl. Our girl sheds her robe, but the mood is anything but romantic. She awkwardly asks where to apply it, and he just scoffs, thinking she's playing dumb. She tries to explain that as a former alpha, she's a total noob at being an omega. Then the realization hits her, does she really have to apply this? Asterisk there asterisk. She begs him to leave the room for some privacy, but the crown prince just sneers, clearly enjoying her misery. She's absolutely fuming, swearing she'll beat him up once her powers return. Looking at her son's body, she feels like a total creep for even touching it. But the heat is becoming unbearable and she's running out of time. She tries to justify it by remembering she changed his diapers once upon a time. She tries to maintain her alpha pride, but her internal monologue is a hot mess. What am I even doing? She wonders, lost in a haze of confusion. All while Yin Jun sits there, watching her every move like a hawk. The medication finally starts to kick in, but there's still one more spot to cover. She glares at the little bastard still staring at her, but the heat wins out. The sensation is overwhelming, and she can't help but let out a gasp. Suddenly, Yin Jun looks like he's seen a ghost and beats a hasty retreat. He slams the door behind him, leaving her in a cloud of dust. Well, at least she's gained some strange knowledge today. Night falls over the mansion, and our girl finally wakes up from her medicine-induced nap. She's still feeling the aftershocks when she hears a suspicious rustle. Instinct takes over as she bolts upright, demanding to know who's there. She reaches for her trusty dagger only to find nothing. Reality sinks in as she stares at the empty room. Right, this isn't her room and there's no weapon under the pillow. She lights a candle, reflecting on the absolute fever dream that was yesterday. One day in this body and she's already been through more drama than her entire past life. She remembers Yin Jun's dramatic exit and goes to check his wardrobe for something to wear. The heat cycle really took everything out of her. She's lucky she even woke up before dawn. She's annoyed the prince didn't leave her any proper clothes. She can't exactly walk out in a bedsheet without causing a scandal. But then she finds a hidden stash. It's her own old clothes from her past life. Not just clothes, but a whole collection of items she thought she'd lost. Our girl realizes Yin Jun is a total closet pervert for hoarding her old stuff. Suddenly, a voice shouts for Brother Ming and starts banging on the door. She scrambles to get dressed as the door creaks open. It's Yin Lin looking bright and bubbly despite the late hour. It's her daughter. Our girl is internally sobbing with joy at the reunion. She tries to act natural while her daughter clings to her. Linner is here with a wild plan to go see the Queen of Flowers. Apparently, the original Zhu Ming was quite the fan of the capital's top beauty. Before she can protest, Linner drags her toward the exit. Our heroine is basically being kidnapped by her own child. They are literally leaping over rooftops like ninjas. She's terrified that insane guy Yin Jun will catch them breaking the rules. But Linner just laughs it off, calling her brother a total nutcase. Finally, someone else who sees Yin Jun for the psycho he is. Linner tosses her onto a horse with effortless alpha strength. Our girl's pride takes a massive hit being manhandled by her daughter. She asks if Yin Jun has been spreading rumors about her. Linner goes quiet, the playful mood suddenly vanishing. She gives a sad forced smile that says everything. Yin Jun has been telling everyone he has proof she poisoned her own father to death. The betrayal cuts deep as she realizes just how dangerous her son really is. Brother Ming is being accused of poisoning his own father, and the evidence is supposedly ironclad. Our boy is looking shook, sweating bullets because this framing job is top tier. They're galloping through the night, trying to outrun the drama as fast as possible. He knows the accuser doesn't make empty threats, so if there are clues, he's in serious trouble. But his companion just looks at him with those big eyes and says, "I trust you." Our hero can't believe how naive this sibling bond is, considering how family usually stabs you in the back. He wonders why family members would even want to harm each other in the first place. We get a quick flashback to when they were actually wholesome and caring. Little sister, honestly, the emotional damage here is real. They vow to protect the family name together, even with their father gone. They arrive at a bustling district, which is a total vibe shift from the dark woods. He plays along with the heartwarming sibling act for now. Our hero finally hops off the horse, ready to do some secret business. He gives a charming smile, hiding the absolute chaos in his head. The streets are alive and bustling, providing the perfect cover. Suddenly, he's reminded of his past life as Prince Yukayen, the literal god of war. Look at that savage grace. He was a total legend on the battlefield. But now he's stuck in this body with 3 major chores on his to-do list. First, he's got to keep the family from falling apart in this imperial mess. But he feels eyes on him. Someone is definitely playing stalker in the shadows. Second, he needs to fix his adopted son, who is, let's be honest, a total basket case. And third, he needs to find out who actually tried to murder him. Speak of the devil, he wanders into an alley and gets surrounded by some bottom-tier thugs. He demands to know who sent them, but these idiots think they've just found a beauty to harass. Our hero is literally insulted that these blind lechers are the ones bothering him. They start talking about pulling out tongues, and honestly, they're just digging their own graves at this point. They tell him no one is coming to save him, and our boy just gives them this terrifying, savage smirk. In a flash of steel, he starts carving them up like a Thanksgiving turkey. He tells them they're just unlucky for crossing paths with a literal prince. His eyes turn cold and murderous. This is not the weakling they expected. He has absolutely zero intentions of showing mercy to these trash mobs. Bam, the alley becomes a literal crime scene in seconds. Just pure, unadulterated violence. He stands over the bodies, wondering if these guys were part of the serial crimes in the capital. He sighs, realizing this weak body is barely holding up after a small scuffle. He needs to get back to his sister before things get even weirder. But wait, a massive, bald final boss appears out of nowhere. The big guy looks at his dead goons and is absolutely fuming. He realizes our boy is the one who turned his brothers into sashimi. He pulls out a massive axe and the vibes are officially rancid. Our hero tries the classic "I'm just a lost passerby" routine, but it's a total fail. The boss isn't buying the lies and charges in like a freight train. He swings the axe with a massive bang, trying to split our boy in two. Our hero is struggling because this alley is way too narrow for tactical dodging. He's huffing and puffing, desperately trying to find an opening. He momentarily forgets he's no longer the invincible war god he used to be. The axe is inches away from ending the story early. He spots a tiny gap and prepares for a final, desperate strike. Our hero is trembling, realizing he's been caught red-handed out of bounds. Yin Jun demands to know what he's doing in a place like this. He points his sword right at our boy's throat. Talk about a toxic family dynamic. Our hero puts on his best innocent chibai face and tries to blame the sister. Yin Jun isn't buying the excuses. He gave him a chance to stay put. The blade actually nicks him. Our boy is screaming internally because that actually hurts. Suddenly, the sister starts shouting for him nearby. Yin Jun's expression doesn't soften one bit as he listens. Lina rushes in and sees the two of them in this super tense standoff. She's confused why the second brother is also here in this murder alley. She grabs our hero's face, totally freaking out about the blood. He flashes a dazzling smile, lying through his teeth that everything is fine. He points the finger at the thugs, acting like Yin Jun was the one who saved the day. Yin Jun just stares, probably wondering why he puts up with this chaos. Bang, Linner slams the wall and the mood shifts instantly. She's blaming herself for leaving him alone at the brothel. Our boy tries to calm her down, but she's really going through it. He's used to protecting others, so being the one protected feels super awkward. He tells her not to be mad, but then he sees her eyes. Our savage sister is actually crying. The emotional damage is peaking. He realizes that despite their different masks, they really are biological siblings. He's shocked because she was always the one who stayed strong after their father died. He wonders why she's breaking down over a tiny scratch on his neck. But then she drops the bombshell. She thinks the father's death was all her fault. Our hero is left absolutely speechless as the truth starts to unravel. Because he used the tea set she gave him, he didn't use his usual silver needle to test for poison, leading to his tragic end. Our poor heroine is drowning in regret, remembering how she just wanted to give him something nice. She breaks down, apologizing through tears for not being able to protect anyone she loves. But the guys aren't letting her shoulder this burden alone. The Duke steps in, telling her to stop because the death had absolutely nothing to do with her. He tries to take the blame himself, saying he was the one by his side who failed to notice the danger. Our girl looks on as they both try to be the martyr. But she knows the truth. This tragedy isn't anyone's fault and they need to stop the self-hatred. She turns to Yin Lin with a soft gaze, telling her she's already doing an amazing job. She reminds her that their father didn't suffer because he already knew his time was coming to an end. Linner is speechless as she hears the words her father never got to say in time. If he had to choose a successor among the three of them, he would have chosen her without a single doubt. It's time to finally cheer up because as long as they are here, the Zhou family is still alive. The three of them need to protect this place together as a real family. Yinlin finally lets the comfort sink, pulling her into a tight, grateful hug. Of course, the mood is immediately ruined by the jealous Duke who reminds her that as an alpha, she needs to be way more aware of her personal space. He literally pries them apart like a possessive bodyguard protecting his territory. Our heroine realizes she can't just hug Brother Ming like she used to now that they're officially engaged. She playfully asks if she should start calling him sister-in-law instead to keep things proper. The reaction is pure gold as the blonde beauty nearly chokes on the suggestion. Yinlin laughs it off, realizing Brother Ming really is just like their father. But the blonde is definitely feeling some type of way about that savage comparison. Suddenly, the Duke's aura turns cold as he grips his sword. Our girl has to hold him back before he does something chaotic. She suggests Yinlin go ahead to the brothel to catch the show while she talks to the Duke alone for a moment. Yinlin's eyes go wide at the thought of them being solo. She immediately jumps to the conclusion that the Duke is just jealous and wants some private time with his fiancée. She pushes them together, telling them to talk it out properly before sprinting away like a total matchmaker. The silence is deafening as they stand over a literal pile of corpses. Our girl is left wondering how her life became such a bloody mess. The Duke just sighs, totally unfazed by the carnage surrounding them. He tells her to find someone to clean up the mess before a riot starts. Looking at the bodies on the ground, he turns to her with a look that could kill. He warns her that if she ever tries to pull a stunt like that again, he'll make her look just like these corpses. Talk about a toxic red flag. Now for a little break to understand how this crazy world works. Alphas are the tall, robust, and handsome powerhouses of society. Omegas are the gentle, beautiful, and cute ones that everyone instinctively wants to protect. Let's see how they handle a simple gift like a fresh apple. An extrovert like Yinlin will happily take it with a huge, radiant smile. But the introverted alpha types, they'll just give you a blunt no thanks and keep moving. They are basically the CEOs of being socially awkward and difficult. Now if you give that apple to a precious omega, they'll look at you with those big watery eyes and ask if they can really eat it. It's so cute the creators literally start crying and throwing apples at them. Our girl is just too pure for this world. But give that same apple to a beta. They won't just take the apple, they'll take the whole damn basket. Before you know it, they've started a full-blown kitchen production. While the creators are left confused by the sudden activity, the betas return with a 5-star spread of apple tea, cookies, and toffee treats. They are the ultimate service gods. Forget the alphas and omegas. Betas are the ones truly running the show and making everyone comfortable. They definitely deserve a lot more respect in this chaotic world. The sound of fabric tearing fills the room as our poor hero realizes things are escalating way too fast. He's completely tied up and panicking, screaming that this guy is a total nutcase pervert. But the Duke just exhales, looking way too satisfied while holding a piece of shredded clothing. He shamelessly admits that the feeling of ripping apart his captive's clothes isn't bad at all. He leans in close, demanding to hear every single detail of the past. With a savage smirk, he calls him a good boy, clearly enjoying the absolute power play. Our guy is totally disgusted by this creepy display of affection. He tries to regain some control, suggesting they just exchange information directly. The Duke questions if he's in a hurry to confess his crimes, but he's just trying to clear his name and offers up some serious bargaining chips. He starts his tale, wondering exactly where the story should begin. We dive into the past of Prince Yukayen, a child of the martial arts union leader and the late emperor. But the storytelling is interrupted by more aggressive fabric tearing, sending him into another chibi-sized panic. He begs him to stop the destruction of his wardrobe. Trying to keep his cool, he continues the deep dive into his history. He reveals that in his previous life, he never planned on marriage or having kids. It was only after a war and a total accident that he ended up with a son. He asks the Duke if he remembers the very first time they met. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a stormy night 12 years ago. Lightning strikes as a young, dirty boy appears in the pouring rain. This little stray pulls a knife, demanding every valuable thing the traveler has. Even as a kid, he was a determined little robber. But the man he's trying to mug is none other than a 27-year-old Zhou Yukayen. He looks down at the tiny threat with more curiosity than fear. Under the cover of his umbrella, he stares at the boy. He playfully asks the kid if he's really trying to talk back to him. Lightning flashes again as the flashback intensifies. The kid collapses in the mud, but he won't give up. Zhou Yukayen is amused, letting out an oh-ho at the boy's persistence. The kid lunges again with his blade, desperate and hungry. Zhou Yukayen sighs, claiming he has zero interest in bullying little children. With a quick move, the kid is sent sprawling into the puddles. He struggles to get back up, refusing to let the rain wash away his pride. Zhou Yukayen asks why such a small kid is resorting to street robbery. The boy just heaves for breath, his eyes full of fire. Suddenly, the kid turns into a literal beast, growling and snapping. He actually tries to bite Zhou Yukayen's boot, but the man just laughs because they're made of high-quality leather. The kid is like a rabid dog, refusing to let go of the boot. He keeps gnawing away while Zhou Yukayen just lets out a tired sigh. Finally, he tells the dog to let go, deciding he's seen enough. He places a gentle hand on the boy's head, offering a moment of unexpected kindness. He asks the boy if he wants to stay at his house for a while. That head pat changed everything, ending the trip down memory lane. Back in the present, he reminds the Duke how small and dirty he used to be. He admits he didn't adopt him for some alpha son legacy or weird power trip. It was all because of the raw emotion burning in the boy's eyes. The Duke is stunned, wondering what kind of emotions he could have possibly seen. He describes them as ruthless and reckless, yet filled with a desperate yearning to survive. They were the eyes of a soldier, reminding him of his fallen subordinates. Sadly, all those loyal followers died because they chose to follow him. As the story ends, he finally loosens the ropes. He's finished his tale and hopes the Duke's temper has finally cooled down. He promises not to run away if he isn't tied up like a prisoner anymore. But the Duke isn't done playing. He suddenly lunges forward, making him yelp in surprise. He pulls him into a tight embrace and demands he keep speaking. They end up in an incredibly compromising position, and he realizes the adoption might have been an attempt to atone for past sins. This posture is way too embarrassing, especially with the flowers blooming everywhere. Suddenly, he lets out an ouch as things take a turn for the weird. He complains that he called him a stray dog, and now the guy is actually biting him. He screams for release as the Duke goes absolutely insane again. The biting turns into something much more intimate, and he's caught completely off guard. He realizes with a shock that he's being licked, and he begs him to stop. He lets out a gasp as the sensation overwhelms him. He warns him not to touch his Adam's apple because it's way too sensitive. He's internally screaming for someone to save him. No matter how he looks at it, this current situation is definitely not family-like anymore. He realizes he's in deep trouble as the atmosphere gets way too chaotic to handle. He's blushing like crazy, wondering how they even got into this position. This whole encounter is turning into a total romantic disaster. He tries to protest, but his body isn't listening. Why is the Jun boy doing this to him? Yin Jun towers over her, looking absolutely lethal while asking if she has a death wish. But our girl isn't intimidated and reaches out to smooth his furrowed brows. She tells him that if he keeps scowling like this, he's going to end up with permanent wrinkles. Despite his cold exterior, she admits she doesn't know how to be a perfect father figure yet. But she wants him to know that he's just as important to her as all the other children. The atmosphere turns heavy as they share a lingering, emotional gaze. Yin Jun's eyes darken as he mutters that he really should have just tied her up to keep her from being so chaotic. Our girl doesn't back down, boldly reaching for his collar. But before things can get too spicy, he unceremoniously tosses her back onto the bed. She lets out a dramatic yelp, complaining that he could at least try to be a little more gentle. As he starts to walk away, she calls out his name. She looks him in the eye and asks the million-dollar question: who exactly does he see when he looks at her? Is he acting this way toward her or the person he thinks she is? He gives her a look that would make anyone swoon. Our poor heroine is left screaming internally, blushing like a total mess. He simply sighs and drops the ultimate bombshell: he only treats his wife this way. He suddenly throws a heavy stack of papers into her lap. She's confused for a second, wondering why he's tossing homework at her. But then she realizes these are the prescriptions and evidence she asked for. These documents detail exactly what happened after the original owner's death. As she flips through the records, she sees the testimonies of the servants. They all claim to have seen powder being poured into the tea that fateful day. A flashback reveals the moment the poisoned tea was served. The documents confirm the substance used was something called 100-day soul. But our girl is sharp and notices a glaring inconsistency: that poison acts way too slowly to have killed someone that fast. Yin Jun explains that there was a second poison involved called Gui Sheng. When combined, they cause instant death. In a fit of rage, Yin Jun literally crushes the teacup in his bare hand. Our girl panics, grabbing his hand to check for injuries. But he drops a truth bomb that chills her to the bone. That second poison has been in her body for years. She's completely stunned, unable to process the news. He looks at her with a grim intensity. It turns out our girl was walking around already poisoned long before she even realized it. Suddenly, we take a break for a spooky kindergarten party. The Chibis are out in full force with their scary masks. Little Yin Jun is not in the mood for any of this festive nonsense, but our girl thinks his grumpy face is way scarier than any mask could ever be. They set off to go trick-or-treating with the rest of the class. The girls demand candy or they're going to cause some serious trouble. The teacher is terrified and hands over a massive haul of sweets. The Chibis are living their best life, buried in candy. But one little princess declares she actually hates sweet things. She refuses to take any of the treats from her elder sister. Meanwhile, another Chibai is swooning over his massive stash. He's happy to share with his friends. We meet a tiny little vampire who is looking way too adorable. They debate whether a werewolf costume would have been more convenient, but the little vampire insists on his choice because it lets him do some very questionable things. Back to the candy hunt, the kids are showing off their loot. One group is holding a massive sack while another looks on in envy. The white-haired Chibai starts throwing a tantrum because she feels bullied. But her friends immediately step up to share their own candy to make her feel better. She finally breaks into a bright smile, realizing that Halloween is actually pretty joyous when you're with people who care about you. Our girl is absolutely reeling because it turns out she's been poisoned this entire time. She tries to bolt, but he's not having it, grabbing her arm and demanding she stay put while he radiates pure irritation. She tries to play it cool, arguing that just because someone saw a poisoning doesn't mean the case is closed. He stares her down with those cold eyes, wondering what game she's playing now. Our heroine knows her target is way too smart to be caught that easily. Even if he wanted her dead, he wouldn't be this cautious and sloppy at the same time. Suddenly, he grabs her hands, wrapping them up while questioning why she's using such a serious tone. She just smirks, tightening the bandage and reminding him she's still got time on her side. She works carefully, focusing on his injury while the tension between them thickens. She finishes the job with a gentle pat on the head, treating this high-end mighty lord like a stray puppy. She even has the audacity to give him martial arts advice, telling him not to overexert himself while he seethes. He's dead set on revenge, and the intensity in his eyes is a total vibe as he swears to find the murderer. They share a heavy, dramatic look, realizing they both need to work harder to survive this chaotic mess. As the night fades into a peaceful morning, the birds are chirping and the snacks look absolutely divine. Our girl is finally living her best life, stuffing her face with cherry blossom sweets. She's savoring every bite because her previous injuries had her taste buds in the gutter for way too long. She enjoys the sweet treats while thinking about her missing target. She wonders if justice will ever be served or if he'll actually come back to her. She slams the table in a fit of determination. She's going to find him no matter what it takes. Just then, the door flies open and he storms in, looking like a literal storm cloud. He pins her down instantly, demanding to know why she's snooping in his private study. She tries to play the official business card, but he's not buying a single word of it. He mocks her, questioning why a simple singer is suddenly so interested in world affairs. The tension is through the roof as he leans in close, trapping her against the desk. He calls her ridiculous while he keeps her pinned under his gaze. He even makes a comment about her singer's tongue being soft, which is honestly just criminal. She calls him a total nutcase in her head, clearly done with his savage energy. She starts dropping truth bombs about Manga, explaining his true nature. She reveals he's been returning home at suspicious hours every single month. She sent her best men to investigate, but found nothing because he's a pro at erasing his tracks. She explains the physiology of omega men and how they look just like betas when they aren't in heat. She even found a pair of heightening shoes in his room, proving he was cross-dressing. He was imitating women to infiltrate the local brothels. He thinks the kid was just out for a good time, but she knows there's a deeper plot. He argues that aristocratic sons would recognize a prince's face instantly. She tells him to stop struggling because he's out of tricks. She's got him pinned and she's not letting him go until he listens. She suggests that maybe the kid didn't have to show his face at all. She flashes a wicked, savage grin, ready to spill the brothel's biggest secret. It turns out the place hosts a massive masquerade feast on the 15th of every month. It's the perfect cover for high-ranking officials to hide their faces and act a fool without judgment. They can release their inner beasts and do whatever they want behind those masks. She dons a mask herself, looking stunning while she teases him for being such a clueless alpha. Our girl is feeling extra sassy tonight, mocking her companion's lack of gossip skills. But he shuts her down real quick, promising to show her exactly how much of an alpha he can be. She's left blinking, wondering what on earth he's planning. They stroll into a high-end establishment where he demands the absolute best room in the house. The madam offers them a flower to play with, but our guy has much bigger appetites. He wants the whole bouquet. Every single girl in the building needs to report to their room immediately. He's ready to play until his heart's content, and he's not taking no for an answer. The madam is absolutely floored by the request, but he doubles down, making it clear he's not joking. To seal the deal, he flashes an imperial tablet that practically screams, "I'm rich and dangerous." Suddenly, the madam is all smiles and bows, ushering them upstairs like royalty. She promises them a room with all the equipment they could ever need. Our girl's jaw drops when she sees the collection of spicy toys waiting for them. They both stand there in awkward silence for a second. The madam shoves them inside, promising the girls will arrive shortly. Once the door slams shut, the mood shifts instantly. This was all just a clever ruse to fish for information. Our guy tells her she can torment the staff however she likes to get the truth. Our girl gets a mischievous glint in her eye, looking over the tools at her disposal. She starts poking around, finding some truly questionable items. She's laughing at how indecent the place is, even teasing him with a string of beads. He is definitely not amused by her antics. She complains that she's too tired from raising kids to deal with his attitude anyway. Just then, the flowers arrive. A whole line of beauties enters the room, and our girl is living for the professionalism of it all. She tells them to line up so they can take a good look. Once the madam clears out, our girl starts the interrogation under the guise of being a flirtatious client. She's asking for ages and details, but our guy has zero patience for the small talk. He demands they get to the point. Our girl tries to keep the cover, asking him what his type is to distract the ladies. Is it someone wild or maybe someone sweet? He goes quiet for a beat, then drops a bombshell. He likes them older. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife. He repeats it again, making sure she hears him loud and clear. Our girl is internally screaming because her twin is technically older. She's freaking out over these abnormal vibes, remembering how close they all used to be in the past. Suddenly, a voice cries out for Mr. Ming. A girl named Kinger bursts through the crowd, looking totally distraught. She's convinced she's been abandoned. The guys exchange a look. They found their lead. Our girl plays along, asking if she's the one who served him before. The poor girl is on the verge of a breakdown. Our girl feels a pang of guilt and tries to comfort her. To get some privacy, the guy tells everyone else to scram so they can't play with her alone. The other girls' imaginations go wild, thinking something very spicy is about to happen. They leave with a wink, telling her to have fun. Kinger starts lighting some special incense to set the mood. She offers to sing or get straight to the action, but our girl shuts that down, asking the real questions about the previous Mr. Ming. Kinger realizes way too late that these aren't the men she expected. The guy loses his cool and prepares to get the info by force. Our girl steps in, telling her not to be afraid. She promises a reward if she just cooperates. She uses her charm to win the girl over. Kinger is worried sick, asking if the real Ming is in danger. Our girl drops the heavy news. Her twin has been framed for murder. The shock is written all over the girl's face. She insists he's a good person through and through. But our blonde lead isn't exactly swooning over that theory yet. She starts gushing about how gentle and respectful he is, unlike the usual trashy customers, even going out of his way to buy her favorite pastries from the street corner. Seriously, this guy is a walking green flag, listening to her every word and giving her thoughtful gifts. Our lead looks skeptical, wondering if this refined gentleman act is just a front for something darker. The girl realizes she's been rambling and quickly tries to apologize. But our blonde hero leans in close, looking absolutely majestic, and tells her they are just here for the truth. He gives her a gaze that could melt ice and promises to bring Mr. Ming back in one piece. Our poor girl's heart starts doing Olympic-level sprints from the sheer handsomeness of it all. She admits that while she admires him, she and Ming aren't actually that close. It turns out that every time he visits, he leaves with a mysterious, tall friend. This masked friend is a total enigma, but she remembers them whispering about a mystical Buddhist temple. specifically the Hun temple, which is famous for praying for a son. Apparently, noble wives flock there when they want to get pregnant. Our duo realizes something is incredibly fishy, and they need to see this fertility hotspot for themselves. Our lead is absolutely stunned by the revelation. He starts spiraling, wondering why on earth Ming would visit a temple meant for conception. He starts cooking up a wild theory that Ming has a secret lover and is trying to force a marriage through a surprise pregnancy. He's literally imagining the chaos of a secret grandson appearing out of nowhere. Then his brain goes even further. Maybe Ming is into men, which is why he's always hiding out at the brothel. He starts aggressively shaking Yin Jun, demanding to know what the heck is going on with everyone. He's having a total crisis because everyone from his past seems to have changed into a stranger. Yin Jun, looking intense as always, says he'll investigate the masked friend tomorrow. But our hero is too busy panicking about Ming's love life to listen to reason. Suddenly, the vibe shifts as Yin Jun grabs his hand. With a heavy thud, our lead finds himself pinned to the bed. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a sword. Yin Jun hovers over him, breathing heavily, and warns him not to move. He looks absolutely savage, whispering that he has no idea what he'll do to him if he keeps struggling. Our hero realizes Yin Jun is panting and looking completely out of it. He catches a whiff of the air and realizes the incense is a high-grade aphrodisiac. He tells Yin Jun to snap out of it and extinguish the burner immediately. But Yin Jun is way past the point of self-control, pinning his wrists down with zero mercy. Seeing that the guy is in actual pain from resisting the drug, our hero finally gives in and tells him he won't move. Yin Jun collapses against him, burying his face in his shoulder like a man at his breaking point. This moment triggers a deep memory of a rainy night long ago. Our lead had found a young, scruffy Yin Jun in the rain and offered him treats. He promised the kid a better life in a large house with new clothes. But the little puppy was stubborn, refusing to eat the sweets. It turns out the kid was only out there trying to rob people to save his sick sister. Our lead, being a total softie, promised to cure the sister and told the kid to just relax. He even forced a treat into the boy's mouth, laughing at his shocked expression. He asked if it was sweet, but the kid claimed it was incredibly bitter. Our hero realized then that for someone who has never known sweetness, too much sugar can actually taste bitter because it's so overwhelming. He demands to know exactly who she thinks she's calling a dog. Our poor heroine tries to play it cool, insisting he definitely misheard her. But he's not letting her off that easy, pinning her down with a smirk that says he's ready for a little playtime. He asks which toy she prefers, making her blush like a total mess. She's trembling as he warns her not to go starting a fire she can't put out. Our girl tries to act tough, claiming she's an alpha, but he just finds her bravado hilarious. He leans in close, mentioning the mysterious Zhou Yukayen and how strange it is that the king had a son without a wife. Suddenly, a dark vision flashes through her mind, a woman in red offering herself to a lord. She promises to bear his child so they can be together forever. It's a creepy, bloody scene that ends with a literal knife to the gut. The memory is so intense it makes our girl physically sick. She's left gasping and clutching her chest. She starts coughing and retching, her body reacting to the trauma of the vision. He's immediately concerned, wondering if the incense is too strong, but she insists it's just her own problem. She sighs, realizing it's been far too long since she's had to deal with memories of her. He decides to give her some space, telling her to settle her business while he waits next door. As he stands to leave, she's left alone with her chaotic thoughts. She stares at her hands, wondering if his blood really flows through her veins. The realization is terrifying, and she desperately hopes it isn't true. Meanwhile, in the other room, masks are scattered across the bed as the heavy atmosphere lingers. He's left alone with his own thoughts, whispering the name Zhou Yukayen into the empty air. She's swinging a spear with everything she's got, but her new body is a total weakling. Her arms are already trembling and going numb from just a bit of practice. She huffs in frustration, realizing her internal force is pathetic compared to her past life. It's no wonder Yin Jun can push her around whenever he wants. Determined to test her limits, she eyes a massive stone cauldron. She grabs the handle, thinking she can still pull off a feat of strength. She pulls and grunts, her face turning beet red as she struggles to move the heavy thing. She's screaming like a warrior, but the cauldron isn't budging an inch. Suddenly, a shadow looms over her, and it's none other than her favorite tormentor. Yin Jun effortlessly shifts the cauldron for her, asking if he put it in the right spot. He even offers to move the bigger one just to be savage. Our girl is absolutely fuming, storming off to get some food before she loses it. But he's not just here to tease her, he's found a lead on the man from the brothel. He reveals that the man is a frequent patron and an alpha who handles dirty work. Our heroine is shocked, wondering why the guy suddenly disappeared. She suspects the timing is way too convenient to be a coincidence. He looks serious, mentioning the man was last seen near the Hun temple. It's clear they need to pay that place a visit immediately. They arrive at the temple to find it packed with people. Our girl can't help but snark about the crowd, wondering if the dynasty is so desperate they have to pray to Buddha for kids. Yin Jun suggests there might be more to it than just baby fever. They overhear some juicy gossip about a woman who successfully conceived after visiting. Apparently, even beta couples are popping out alpha babies thanks to this place. Our girl decides to go undercover, putting on her best doting wife act. She approaches the gossiping women, claiming she and her husband are very interested in their story. Yin Jun is left stunned by the sudden promotion to husband. Even the local dog is judging the situation, imagining our girl as a blushing bride. The locals are absolutely swooning over the happy couple, but our girl is just trying to keep her cool. She plays the part of the doting wife perfectly, calling her cold companion hubby to blend in. He's acting all stubborn and silent, so she has to apologize to the ladies for his shyness. Once they're alone, Yin Jun drags her away to demand what on earth she's doing. She explains that this temple is fishy as heck, and pretending to be a young couple is the best way to sniff out the truth. Yin Jun decides if they're going to act, they're going to do it right, and pulls her close. He introduces himself as a palace official, and the locals are immediately impressed by his status. Our girl starts sweating when he gets a little too into the role, gripping her waist in public. Honestly, who knew this guy had such a gift for acting? The locals gossip that the temple's miracles for conceiving children only started this year. Apparently, even the local bandits vanished right when the temple became famous. Just then, a creepy head monk appears to greet them. Our girl notices something dark and suspicious on the monk's robes. He invites all the wives to follow him to the inner hall for a special ceremony. He puts on a saintly smile that is honestly giving us major red flags. They head inside, accompanied by the sound of ritual clanging. The atmosphere is heavy as they walk through the temple grounds. After making their donations, the group is led deeper into the complex. The monk insists on taking the ladies to a private room for the eye-opening ritual. A dog in the courtyard starts barking aggressively, and our girl can tell something is seriously wrong. The dog looks more like a beast than a temple pet. Yin Jun tries to follow her inside, but the monk blocks him. He claims that having outsiders present will provoke Buddha and ruin their chances of having a child. The other wives head off, leaving the husbands behind. But Yin Jun isn't about to let his wife be crowded by strangers. He demands a private room for her, looking absolutely domineering. He even pulls out a bribe to make sure she gets special treatment. Our girl is low-key annoyed at how much money he's throwing around just to show off. The greedy monk happily accepts the gold and agrees to take her alone. As she's led away, she looks back at Yin Jun one last time. He watches her go with a sharp, calculating gaze. Suddenly, the doors slam shut behind her. Inside, the room is pitch black and freezing. The monk starts getting handsy, telling her not to be afraid. They enter a room filled with other monks who look way too eager. The head monk tells her to enjoy herself, and the vibe turns absolutely chaotic. He then has the audacity to tell her to strip for consecration. He claims her clothes are filthy and she must be in her cleanest form. Our girl pretends to comply, starting to rustle her robes. But she stops with a savage smirk, asking if they really think she's that dumb. She calls them out right then and there. These guys aren't monks at all. The fake monks drop their act, their faces turning murderous. She explains that she knew the moment she saw them. Real monks don't have massive, muscular bodies or scars from blade wounds. The monk tries to lie, claiming it's just from martial arts. But our girl has the receipts. That dog in the courtyard didn't smell like incense. It smelled like fresh blood. A temple dog wouldn't have the scent of a war dog that feeds on meat. She puts the final pieces together. The bandits didn't just vanish. It's way too much of a coincidence that this temple got famous right after they disappeared. She looks them dead in the eye and delivers the truth. The bandits murdered the original monks and took over the temple. They've been using the ceremony as a cover for a disgusting, obscene business. The fakes stop pretending and start laughing like the psychos they are. They admit she's a lot sharper than she looks. They reveal they're the Black Cloud Camp bandits, and they realize the temple was a literal gold mine. They brag about the money and the women they've taken. They mock the moron husbands who sent their wives right into their trap. The head bandit pounces on her, laughing like a maniac. Our girl just calls him a scumbag, completely unfazed. He gets right in her face, threatening to shut her up for good. He thinks he's won, but our girl just smiles and says his time is up. Right on cue, the entire roof comes crashing down in a massive explosion. Dust flies everywhere as the building is torn apart. Yin Jun steps through the wreckage, literally crushing a bandit under his boot. He stands there looking like an absolute god of destruction, ready to end them all. The guards are moving the prisoners along, barking orders to walk faster as they clear out the area. Our girl explains that her family uses secret hand gestures to communicate whenever things get too dicey to speak out loud. It turns out Yin Jun actually understood her signal perfectly before he even entered the room. They made the most of the opportunity, and she's impressed with how well he played his part in the chaos. But things take a dark turn when they discuss why the Buddhist temple had to be blockaded in the first place. Yin Jun has zero chill, declaring that these disgraceful criminals deserve 1,000 cuts for their crimes. Our girl points out the savage reality. Even though high-ranking families were victimized, the news never spread because of the social stigma. Yin Jun realizes there's something incredibly fishy going on behind the scenes with how the information was suppressed. It's a brutal world that treats omegas with zero fairness, forcing them into silence to protect the family name. Noble families would rather cover up a tragedy than deal with a wife they considered defiled. They'd literally rather live a lie and raise an illegitimate child than face the public shame. It's a lamentable cycle of hiding the truth to protect a fragile reputation. Our poor heroine knows this isn't the best way to solve the issue, but it's the only way high-ranking people know how to survive. She warns Yin Jun that he might face a choice just like this in the future. But right now, she's just frustrated because their trail of evidence has gone cold yet again. She's basically at her limit, feeling the weight of the investigation crushing her spirit. Back at the Zhou residence, a sudden bark breaks the heavy silence. Our girl is trying to relax with a new furry friend she brought back from the temple. She swoons over how carefree the puppy is, wishing she could be just as worry-free for 5 minutes. Our chibai heroine admits that while she wants to enjoy life, she's currently stuck in the mud. She's forced to face the fact that her current body is mother-effing weak compared to her past life. At least she's popular with small animals now, which is a major upgrade from her old, scary vibes. Since she can't use martial arts yet, she's seriously considering training a literal pack of dogs for self-protection. As she lays back daydreaming about her canine army, a massive shadow suddenly looms over her. It's Yin Jun, and he's been standing there the whole time like a total creep without making a sound. Our girl is absolutely chaotic, wondering how he can be so stealthy when she's trying to relax. Suddenly, the vibe shifts to 100% drama as he pins her down to the ground. He commands her to open your mouth, and the tension is off the charts. She tries to protest, but he's already leaning in way too close for comfort. Our heroine is sweating bullets as his face gets inches away from hers. He's holding her chin with a look that would make anyone tremble. But instead of a kiss, he's actually forcing her to eat something mysterious. The puppy is just as confused as we are by this sudden display of dominance. Yin Jun casually turns away while our girl is left reeling from the shock of the attack. It turns out he just wanted to feed her some sweets, and she's surprised by how good they taste. She's sitting there chewing like a cute little hamster while he watches her. He explains it's preserved fruit from the West City district, knowing she'd love it. Our chibai heroine is in food heaven, wondering if he's finally starting to recognize her true identity. But then he drops a bomb. The original Zhu Ming also loved these exact snacks. Talk about a mood killer. Our girl feels a massive blow to her ego knowing she's just being compared to the previous owner. She tries to act savage and dismiss him, telling him to go back to his work. But then he mentions a friend named Chen Fang, which immediately piques her interest. She remembers a mysterious masked man from her past and wonders if it's the same person. When he reveals he has a search warrant, she's ready to jump into action. She's so excited to move the case forward that she forgets all about her earlier annoyance. Yin Jun just watches her with a look that says her body is way more honest than her sassy words. They head straight to the infamous Eerie Alley, a place where things that shouldn't be seen in daylight are sold in the shadows. Our girl looks determined despite the creepy surroundings and the dark history of the place. Yin Jun explains that her friend Chen Fang isn't exactly a normal citizen and has a bit of a reputation. They arrive at a detective agency where the owner is known for being a bit of a wild card. They stand before Chen's detective agency, looking for the answers they desperately need. It's a shop that specializes in finding people or catching cheating spouses, which is totally chaotic. They enter the building, hoping to find a light on where the missing friend went. They step inside cautiously, making sure not to disturb the scene as they look around. The lobby is completely deserted and covered in a thick layer of dust. It looks like no one has been here for at least half a month, which is a major red flag for the investigation. They start digging through the massive collection of books and information stored in the back. Our girl flips through the pages, hoping to find anything that connects back to the temple. She finally finds a specific book that seems promising. She calls out to Yin Jun, showing him a record of the investigation into the children's temple. The notes mention finding something strange while talking to a monk years ago. Yin Jun takes a moment to process the information, his eyes narrowing as he reads between the lines. He reveals that he found something even more important, a personal diary. Our girl is stunned to learn that Chen Fang had a habit of recording everything he saw and heard every single day. In a tiny theater moment, Yin Jun shows his true feelings about the puppy while they continue their search. How miserable can one person's life really be? Abandoned at birth, living in the mud, and eventually losing an eye in a devastating fire. This man has truly seen it all. But life takes a chaotic turn when he finds himself at a brothel, though he's not there for pleasure, but to save a newly hatched bird. The ladies are absolutely swooning over the handsome newcomer, but our poor heroine's friend is shaking like a leaf. He's practically trembling in his boots, terrified of getting caught in this den of sin. His savior just laughs it off, teasing him about being a delicate young master who wandered into the wrong neighborhood. Our boy desperately insists he's a beta, even if his petite frame and panicked face say otherwise. Since it's just the two of them, the mysterious man decides to drop the mask and reveal his true face. The reveal is savage, showing off the deep scars from that fateful fire that changed his life forever. He expects a look of horror, but instead he's met with a response he never saw coming. Our girl's friend is actually starstruck, calling him manly and making the poor guy blush under his serious exterior. Over tea, the truth comes out about a young master named Wang Ming and a secret letter meant for a mother in need. Our girl reads through the old records, discovering that Wang Ming's father was a cold, distant man who never showed his son an ounce of affection. She can't help but wonder why a father would be so cruel to his own flesh and blood. It turns out Zhou Yun was the ultimate tiger dad, pushing the boy to the absolute limit in everything he did. The realization hits hard as the history of their strained relationship unfolds across the pages. In a flashback, we see the kids just trying to have a bit of fun in the sun. But the father's arrival immediately kills the vibe, demanding to know if the boy has memorized his books yet. Little Ming just wanted to play, but in this house, fun is a luxury he clearly can't afford. The lecture is brutal, with the father comparing him to the other kids who are already defeating adults in combat. While the others are thriving and receiving praise, poor Ming is left feeling like a complete and utter disappointment. All he ever wanted was a head pat and some validation, but he only ever received cold demands for obedience. Back in the present, the regret is pouring out as the father realizes he was a total failure at parenting. He even admits he was actually jealous of his own son's freedom, which is just toxic on another level. He finally owns up to his mistakes, acknowledging that he placed way too much pressure on the boy's shoulders. Now he's ready to do better. He'd even throw his life away just to make things right for his child. But wait, the story flips to a modern where Zhou Yun is a legendary big shot in the underworld. After a sudden death, he wakes up and realizes he's pulled the ultimate reincarnation trope. He finds himself tied to a chair in a dark basement, feeling dizzy and completely disoriented. As a professional, a few ropes are nothing to him, and he breaks free in seconds to check his phone. But the password doesn't work, and the reality of his situation starts to sink in. He's officially trapped in his own son's body, and honestly, the chaos is just beginning. Someone is approaching the room, and he quickly hides his phone, prepared for a fight. The door creaks open, revealing a man who looks far too familiar for comfort. It's Yin Jun, and he looks absolutely stunned to see the boy standing there free of his bonds. He demands to know how the kid untied himself, but our protagonist is more concerned about who did the tying in the first place. He tries to explain that he's actually the father reborn, just like in those cheesy soap operas they used to watch. He begs not to be sent to a research lab to be dissected like some science experiment. Yin Jun just stares in silence, convinced the kid has finally lost his mind from watching too much TV. Little did he know, they actually spent their nights binge-watching those very dramas together. To prove his identity, he claims he can provide evidence that only the father would ever know. Yin Jun finds the whole thing hilarious, challenging him to produce this supposed proof. Modern tech makes info easy to find, so he needs something truly scandalous to be believed. He drops the bombshell about a hidden folder on the family computer protected by a secret password. Inside are photos of the kids dressed in girls' clothes, a secret the father swore he'd deleted long ago. Yin Jun's soul practically leaves his body as he realizes his deepest secrets are out. He lunges at the kid, desperate to delete the evidence before anyone else sees his valuable pictures. He's declaring he can do it better, and our girl's heart is doing backflips because he's literally ready to die for her. She tries to act cool and slams the book shut to focus on the task at hand. Let's stop talking about feelings and find some clues about Minger. She immediately spots a suspicious staircase leading straight into the abyss. Our heroine is basically a child at a candy store when she sees the cellar entrance. She heads down into the pitch black, joking that this is the perfect spot for a murder scene. He's the voice of reason, until he catches a whiff of something metallic. They step into a room draped in creepy red banners. Her eyes widen as she spots talismans plastered everywhere. There's fresh blood in a bowl and cryptic scrolls scattered about. Suddenly, a terrifying vision of a skeleton performing a ritual over a baby flashes before her eyes. The room feels like a graveyard of nightmares, and she can barely keep her lunch down. She's trembling, but he's right there to steady her. She wonders if Minger inherited this dark obsession from his mother. He tries to be sweet for once, telling her not to push herself. She snaps back into detective mode and asks about the teacup from her past life. He reveals the tea set was a total fake compared to the original gift. She demands to know what it was made of, and the answer is absolutely chilling: lapis lazuli and animal bones. She finds the confirmation in an old book, a recipe for internal injuries that requires the blood of next of kin. The realization hits her like a freight train as she stares at the text. She's convinced there's a body hidden here. While he's skeptical because there's no smell, he finds a hidden latch in the floor. Behind the panel lies a skeleton chained in a room painted with blood. He tries to shield her and says he found nothing. But our girl is a human lie detector and calls him out on his terrible acting. She forces the door open and sees the gruesome sight for herself. She prepares to do an autopsy and notices a very familiar dagger in the skeleton's chest. It's the exact same blade she gave to Ming'er. He realizes the victim is likely Chen Fang, the man with the monocle. The pieces of the puzzle are finally fitting together, and the truth is more tragic than she imagined. Her mind flashes back to 6 months ago when things were simpler. A Feng was showing her around Erie Alley, offering her his cello for her secret research. He was like an older brother to her, even if he teased her relentlessly. She had asked him for a rare snow lotus to help her ailing father. She begged him to keep her secret, never knowing it would lead to this bloody end. Our girl tells her bestie Chen Fang to keep a lid on their little secret. We get a glimpse into Chen Fang's past, showing he's been a high achiever since he was a literal chibai. But even with all that drive, there are some things he just won't compromise on. Rewind 8 years to a much darker time, where a 17-year-old Chen Fang was literally crawling through a field of corpses. Back then, his only goal was survival, because for people in the gutters, just breathing is a luxury reserved for royals. He realized early on that at the end of the day, everyone bleeds the same. He truly believed that if he just put in the work for the court, he'd eventually secure a comfortable life. His so-called brothers-in-arms were just as hungry for power, dreaming of high-ranking titles. They even teased him about his taste in women, asking what kind of girl catches his eye. Our sweet boy just wanted someone who could understand him and treat him well, regardless of status. They laughed at how hopelessly innocent he was back then. He really thought hard work was the golden ticket to a reward. Fast forward to the present, and our heroine is beaming because she's found a potential cure for his eyes. He tries to tell her to focus on herself for once, but our girl is a total saint who lives to help others. She's determined to see him see again, calling herself a regular bodhisattva. She's happiest when she's investigating things or helping people, but curing him would be the ultimate win. That's when the mood drops as he reveals a friend was the one who actually burned his eyes out. This brother betrayed him just to snatch a government position, framing Chen Fang as a criminal. He locked him in a room and set it ablaze, intending to turn him into ash. The betrayal was cold-blooded. The friend begged for the chance to be an official while Chen Fang screamed behind the door. Watching those flames, Chen Fang learned the hard way that effort is the most useless thing in the world. But our heroine won't hear it, pulling him into a hug and insisting that effort is useful because she likes him exactly as he is. Chen Fang is absolutely stunned, wondering if she means like in a romantic way. She gets all flustered, asking if he means getting married kind of like. But then she panics, realizing her father would probably have a heart attack if she brought him home right now. Chen Fang laughs it off, feeling the sting of another rejection. He tells himself he shouldn't catch feelings for smart, high-ranking people anyway. Still, they share a beautiful, bittersweet moment under the falling petals. Suddenly, the vibe shifts to pure chaos as our girl is seen trembling and shaking. Zhou Yun rushes in, demanding to know what happened to make her look this shattered. She's having a full-blown mental breakdown, clutching her head in agony. He realizes she's having a severe traumatic reaction to something. The scent of incense in the air seems to be the trigger. He begs her to stop hurting herself and just breathe. He promises she doesn't have to say a word until she's ready. She tries to fight through the fog, desperately trying to calm her racing heart. Memories of her talk with Chen Fang about the suspicious monks at the temple come flooding back. Luan Temple was supposed to be a place of peace, not bandits. They suspected the monks were actually criminals in disguise. But at the time, they were just focused on a simple cheating spouse case. Our girl thought she could handle the situation herself. She planned to tell her father so his men could clear the place out in no time. She was so confident, so sure of her plan. She bid Chen Fang a quick goodbye, promising to introduce him to her family once it was all over. "My family," she said, leaving him in the dust. Chen Fang stood there frozen, finally realizing she was talking about a high-ranking lord. She rushes back to the estate, calling out for her father with big news. But the atmosphere is dead silent, save for the falling petals. She finds her brother in tears, choking out the words that their father is. Her heart stops as she sees her father's lifeless body being carried through the court. He's gone just like that, without a single word of goodbye. Her entire world crumbles in a second. She stares in disbelief, unable to process the sight of the man she loved most being carried like a weight. She screams for him, begging him to wake up. This has to be a sick joke, right? She shakes him, pleading with him not to scare her like this. The grief is raw and savage as she realizes he's truly cold. Then, the horror sets in when she mentions the medicine she just bought for him. Zhou Yun demands to know exactly what she gave him. Her mind flashes back to the snow lotus powder she begged Chen Fang to find. She specifically asked for the rare 100-year-old stuff. The realization hits her like a physical blow. Her hands shake as the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. She falls to her knees, sobbing that it was all her fault. Her father is dead because of the very medicine she provided. She's absolutely destroyed, drowning in guilt under the cherry blossoms. But just as she hits rock bottom, a hand reaches out to steady her. A voice cuts through the darkness with a glimmer of hope. "I can save him." Our girl is absolutely losing it, begging for someone to just hit her so she can finally calm down. But this man is a total softie for her, refusing to raise a hand and offering himself up as a human chew toy instead. He just takes it like a champ, though he notices her hair is starting to change, reminding him of someone else. A flood of memories hits him hard, taking him back to a time when he was just a kid looking up to his family. He remembers the suffering she endured that no normal person could even fathom. It's a tragic backstory filled with dark rooms and broken spirits, where the weight of the world was just too much to bear. He always wanted to be her support system, but destiny is a cruel mistress, keeping them apart through the seasons. Back in the present, he admits he never expected her to accept his chaotic emotions, even while she's still literally draining him dry. He remembers the sting of parting too early, closing his eyes and just letting the moment wash over him. He even warns her to be careful not to hurt her teeth on his stiff clothes while she's busy snacking on his neck. She's confused though because a memory that doesn't belong to her is currently playing on loop in her brain. He drops to his knees to hold her, immediately switching to worried boyfriend mode and asking if she's in pain. She can't help but laugh, telling him that being this nice is totally not his style. He realizes he might have slipped up and called her by the wrong name in the heat of the moment. She's feeling a bit guilty now, apologizing for the literal assault on his jugular. But he's into it, telling her it's fine and she should honestly just lick it more. He's totally down for that while his inner spirit is basically a happy pup. But the drama never stops, as the scene shifts and the play they're in seems to be reaching a bloody conclusion. A sword pierces through the tension. Elsewhere, the eye patch-wearing Chen Fang is getting teased by a lady in red about his little lover. She's convinced he's got a major crush on little Ming, but he's playing it cool, claiming she doesn't even like him. He stares into his tea, thinking about how the human heart is the most unpredictable thing in existence. We get another flashback to the fire where the old Chen Fang supposedly died. He's been playing a dangerous game with snow lotus powder and secret techniques that are proving to be useless. He looks like a total devil while promising to be there for her. He felt inferior compared to her noble status, even when she was happily promising to introduce him to her family. That memory clearly stings, and back in the present, he's looking stressed out. Suddenly, Ming shows up late to the party, wearing a mask and looking totally suspicious. She asks if they can just head home early because she's got a secret to spill. Back at the house, the mood is heavy. She breaks down, telling him her father's illness is getting way worse. He pulls her into a hug, asking why her powerful magic didn't work. She's sobbing now, calling herself useless because she couldn't follow her mother's medical notes. She feels like she can't do anything right. He goes into full comfort mode, promising to stay by her side forever regardless of how useless she thinks she is. He tells her she's going to be with him for eternity, and honestly, it sounds a little bit like a threat. She's so overwhelmed she just agrees through her tears. He's acting all happy, but then the vibe shifts instantly. He tells her to stop using the medication since it clearly isn't working. Our girl reveals her true goal was just to be a rich man's wife, not to kill the old man. But before they can finish that thought, things go from 0 to 100. Flashback time, 10-year-old Zhu Ming was always the clever one who supposedly needed protection. His spunky friend tries to drag him out for some nighttime chaos, but our boy is actually worried about finishing his homework. She offered to let him copy hers. What a total bestie move. Fast forward and of course, he gets caught red-handed by his dad. Poor Ming-er looks absolutely crushed under the weight of his own failure. He apologizes, admitting he just can't grasp the material no matter how much he struggles. His little hands are trembling as he confesses he'll never be the scholar his father wants. His dad tries to be supportive, telling him he's just a late bloomer. But our boy is done trying to be something he's not. He drops a bombshell: he's not built for books or martial arts. But in this world, he's finally found the one thing he's actually good at. Dad is intrigued, thinking his son finally has goals of his own. Little does he know, Zhu Ming's been having some creepy-crawly dreams lately. His mother has been teaching him dark, forbidden secrets from beyond the grave. These lessons are about to turn his entire world upside down. He trusted this man with his life, and that trust ended in a funeral. The lover coughs up blood, swearing it was all a massive misunderstanding. He claims he never intended to kill the old man. He just wanted to use his own twisted way to find happiness. And that path to happiness involved keeping Zhu Ming by his side at any cost. Our poor heroine, well, hero, is absolutely losing it, drenched in tears and regret. The dying man reaches out one last time, looking up with fading eyes. He realizes Zhu Ming never truly wanted to kill him. It was just a desperate reaction to the pain. He gently strokes Ming-er's face, seeking one last moment of connection. But the damage is done, dad is dead, and the lover is fading into the abyss. There's a balance to everything, and bringing back the dead requires a steep price. To bring back a beloved, you have to pay with a life of equal value. He looks at his father's body, ready to make the ultimate sacrifice. A life for a life, that's the savage law of the Tongshin clan. He's not just saving his dad, he's atoning for the blood on his hands. Chains of fate wrap around his lover as the ritual reaches its peak. Zhu Ming screams in agony as the equivalent exchange begins to drain his very essence. Blood pools on the floor as the dark transaction is sealed in red. Years later, the weight of that heinous sin still haunts the survivor. He personally poisoned his father and killed the lover who stayed by his side. Even for atonement, the cost was almost too much to bear. He uses his own blood to trace the glowing runes of the resurrection circle. His soul is the matchmaker, and he's giving his life for the one he loves. He walks into the light, leaving the world of the living behind. Memories of their happy times flash before his eyes. The smiles, the shared walks, the quiet moments. It's a cruel montage of a future they'll never have. In his final moments, he shares one last spectral embrace with the man he sacrificed everything for. "You idiot," the lover whispers, wishing Ming'er had just a little bit of self-preservation. The ritual erupts in a blinding flash of power. He prays that if there is another life, they can find a way to be happy together. As he fades into stardust, he leaves behind only a lingering warmth and a heart-shattering silence. The survivor stands alone in the aftermath, realizing the depth of the tragedy. No one is the real murderer anymore, but the cost was his entire world. He clenches his fist, the pain of the sacrifice finally sinking. He breaks down, the savage reality of his loss hitting like a freight train. But he refuses to just cry. He knows Ming'er wouldn't want his sadness. He wants to be praised for the good job he did, even if it cost him everything. Now he walks the streets of the city, looking up at the bright sky. He has a feeling that somewhere, somehow, his Ming'er is still alive. He dreams of a simple celebration when he finally comes home. They'll drink all night, talk about the milk cakes on the corner, and finally find the peace they were denied. It's a bittersweet hope for a boy who gave his all. The morning sun hits the Zhou manor as the plot thickens. A girl is staring in the mirror, noticing her hair is a bit off and she's actually grown taller. She's having a full-blown identity crisis over her height when she realizes her body is definitely changing. A knock at the door brings Yin Jun inside. He's got news about a secret family notice that only her kin can understand. She's hoping her brother sees it and comes home, but Yin Jun's face says he's sensing a massive shift in the atmosphere. Suddenly, a guard bursts in with an urgent report. There's a giant red-haired man at the gates claiming to be an old friend. Our girl is confused and asks for name. When she hears it's Yuchilin, she realizes it's the kid from the general's family. She sprints out the door, remembering the legend of the man who followed her father. Most of his subordinates died in battle, leaving only this one survivor who spent 10 years guarding the Great Wall. She's running so fast she almost trips, but she's caught by the man himself. This absolute unit of a man is grinning ear to ear. He calls her Aylin, and our poor heroine is shook. She's staring up at this brawny giant like, who even is this? In her head, he was just a tiny little kid. Now he's patting her head and calling her a baby. Yin Jun is standing there radiating pure, get your hands off her energy. Yuchilin introduces himself as her father's loyal subordinate. He came back the second he heard the news of the deaths. Our girl is getting emotional, but then he drops a total bombshell. He tells her she's so cute he wants to marry her on the spot. He's literally crushing the life out of her in a hug. Yin Jun finally snaps and draws his sword, telling the giant to let go. The redhead isn't intimidated and actually wants to go a few rounds. Our girl is screaming for them to stop. Yin Jun is ready to commit murder because he thinks this guy is just a creep. But she screams the truth. Aylin is actually a Kun people. The sword stops inches from his face. Turns out this mountain of a man is a total peacock. He's out here flexing his solid body and enjoying the breeze. Yin Jun looks like he's lost all faith in humanity. They finally sit down to talk, and our girl explains he's always been a chaotic fighter. He's planning to settle in the capital for good. But the vibes turn dark when he mentions the tribes are moving now that the boss is gone. She's the only heir left, but the world isn't ready for a Kun to take power. If she steps up, the entire court will try to impeach her. She asks if he came back just to help her. He gets surprisingly serious, saying he just wants to be like her father. The silence is heavy. Later, Yin Jun is still grumpy about the giant's strength. Our girl doesn't mind keeping the general around. She trusts him even if Yin Jun is skeptical. She tries to tease him for being so indifferent, but then she winces in pain. She accidentally flashed her waist when the giant tossed her earlier. Yin Jun's eyes widen when she mentions the pain. She boldly asks him to give her a massage. He stares at her, stunned by the audacity, but he eventually gives in with a smirk. He preps the medicine oil and gets to work. Our girl is loving it, totally unaware of the tension. Yin Jun is trying to stay professional, but things are getting very steamy. He tells her to speak up if it hurts, his hands moving over her skin in the most dramatic way possible. Hands move across a firm stomach as the maintenance begins. Our poor heroine is blushing like a total tomato, trying her best to stay composed. She snaps at him, demanding to know what he's doing and reminding him of their location. Zhou Yun calmly explains that she clearly lacks the common sense of maintenance for someone of her status. Our lead is completely lost, wondering what on earth he means by maintenance. Zhou Yun explains that a male Kun needs regular maintenance to prevent hardships when passing down the family line. He drops the bombshell that this is especially important for pregnancy. Our poor heroine screams that it's impossible and she is not giving birth. She throws a total chibai tantrum, swearing she won't do it in this life or any other. Zhou Yun asks if she really wants the family to end with her. She fires back that the emperor has over 70 concubines, so the family line is doing just fine. Seeing her distress, Zhou Yun actually acts like a gentleman for once, promising he won't force her. But the massage isn't over yet. He grabs her leg and says it's time to do the front. He stares into her eyes as the oil starts to flow. He claims her chest needs maintenance too, and our girl is vibrating with pure embarrassment. She shouts for him to stop pinching her like that, but Zhou Yun is on a mission to be as dramatic as possible. She looks absolutely stunning and disheveled on the bed, breathless from the ordeal. Zhou Yun admits the view is very beautiful. He's definitely enjoying her reaction way too much. He tells her not to rush because there will be plenty of opportunities for this in the future. The massage finally ends, leaving our lead fuming in chibai mode while he pokes fun at her. Zhou Yun stands there looking entirely too pleased with himself. He coldly tells her to get up, switching back to his serious commander persona in a heartbeat. A guard suddenly enters the room, calling for a report. Our heroine is still annoyed, but the atmosphere turns sharp as the guard bows. The emperor has sent a direct order. He needs them to enter the palace immediately to discuss some urgent issues. They head out, but the tension between them is still thick enough to cut with a knife. We arrive at the palace gates where the autumn leaves are falling. Our lead is still processing the morning's maintenance while they walk. Suddenly, a wild red-haired guy appears, laughing like a total maniac. Our girl asks why he's following them, and he just tries to play it cool. He's clearly hiding his true intentions behind that goofy grin. The redhead starts complaining that the sedan chair can't bear so many people and they should change the day. Our heroine is not in the mood for his games and demands the truth. He mentions a master told him that something he's been missing is hidden inside the palace. Our girl gets suspicious, wondering what kind of treasure he's hunting for. The red-haired guy acts all shy, making it look like he lost a precious family heirloom. But the missing thing is actually a marriage. This 29-year-old single guy is just desperate to find a wife in the palace. Our heroine gives him the most indifferent look in history, completely unimpressed. They finally enter the main hall of the palace. Our lead pays her respects to the ruler of the dynasty. The emperor tells her to stand up, looking every bit the powerful monarch. This is Zhou Yukayen, the 41-year-old emperor of the Wang dynasty. He immediately notices our girl has lost weight and looks tired. He laments that the palace hasn't had a good life since the king left. Our heroine cuts to the chase, asking if he's in trouble again. They share a long, silent look that feels incredibly heavy. And then they both burst out laughing, dropping the royal act completely. The emperor admits she's too good at pretending to be a serious official. He invites her to sit down and talk like old friends. They joke about secret letters and hidden meanings. He knows her handwriting so well that he could never be fooled by a fake. But the conversation takes a dark turn as they discuss the impossible reality of soul robbing. The emperor admits he has no idea where the original Minger went after the soul was swapped. The mention of Princess Yu brings a heavy, tragic silence to the room. It's clearly a painful subject that neither of them wants to bring up. Our heroine drops a truth bomb, telling him that Zhu Ming is actually still alive. She starts explaining the secrets of the bloodline of the sky. These people are gentle but possess a power that is easiest to hurt themselves with. She spent her life trying to keep Zhu Ming away from these dark, spiritual things. She warns that there are only relics of the deceased in the warehouse and no one should be curious. But she knows that some people are still stuck in the past. The emperor looks at his brother, his heart heavy with the weight of his decisions. He says he only cares about getting his son back and nothing else matters. Our girl looks worried about the dangerous path the emperor is taking. The emperor says he has a very important task that can only be entrusted to his third brother. She asks him to tell her what it is, expecting something political. He leans in with a smirk and drops the ultimate bombshell. He asks if she would mind having another baby. Our heroine's soul literally leaves her body as she stands there in total, speechless shock. The emperor drops a total bombshell, asking if our boy can raise a child. Our prince is completely caught off guard, sweating bullets as he claims he has absolutely no idea what's going on. But the emperor isn't taking no for an answer, insisting that his brother has a natural talent for raising kids, especially other people's kids. Our poor hero realizes this meeting was a total trap and wonders what kind of chaotic mess he's walked into now. The emperor leans in, explaining that the harem has been a hotbed of drama lately. Apparently, a high-ranking concubine fell into the water and miscarried. It was a total tragedy, and the palace is in an absolute uproar over it. When she finally woke up, she pointed the finger directly at the 14th prince, claiming he was the one who pushed her into the lake. This kid, Zhou Yukayen, is only 14 years old and has been a silent, brooding type since he was a toddler. Because multiple servants saw him following her into the gardens, the emperor has no choice but to lay down a heavy punishment. The emperor decides to kick the kid out of the palace to reflect on his actions. He looks totally dead inside, standing there while the accusations fly. Deep down, the emperor blames himself for how the boy turned out. He begs our prince to take the kid in and make sure he doesn't go down a dark path. Meanwhile, the palace grounds are looking as beautiful as ever. A mysterious red-haired guy is wandering around, marveling at how ridiculously big the place is. He's on a desperate mission to find his destined spouse. He starts overthinking everything, realizing the palace is mostly just eunuchs and concubines. He panics, thinking his fated love might be one of the emperor's women, which would definitely result in him losing his head. He quickly decides that finding a handsome guard in a uniform would be a much safer bet. He skips along, hoping to find a big, strong man to sweep him off his feet. Suddenly, he spots someone standing high up on the roof. It's a young child standing right on the edge of the golden dragon tiles. The kid looks like he's about to fly away with the birds, and the tension is absolutely insane. The red-haired guy's heart stops as he watches the kid balance on the precipice. He screams out for the kid to stop, but the boy looks totally checked out, closing his eyes as he begins to fall. Back at another part of the palace, the atmosphere is much more tense. Someone is wondering where the 14th prince vanished to, since he was supposed to be waiting right there. Our main prince is worried that Aelin has managed to get himself lost in this massive place. He asks his loyal companion if he's tired, sighing about his own inner fatigue. The guard looks at him silently and suddenly drops to one knee. He offers his own lap as a seat for the prince. Our prince is low-key impressed by how much this kid has grown up. He gets flustered and tells him to get up quickly. He warns that it's not good to be seen by others in such a scandalous position. But of course, they've already been spotted by a group of gossiping officials. They recognize Master Yin kneeling and realize he's serving Highness Shu. They immediately start talking trash, calling the prince an idiot with no skills. The prince's expression goes cold as he listens to them mock the idea of him inheriting the palace. They think Master Yin is just faking his loyalty, waiting for the perfect moment to betray him. The prince calls out Yin Jun and gives a savage command to do a push-up. The guard is confused but obeys instantly, getting down on all fours. The prince casually greets the low-ranking officials by their grades, and then sits right on the guard's back like it's a throne. The officials are absolutely shook, sweating as they realize they've been caught. They stutter out a terrified greeting. Our prince gives them a beautiful but terrifying smile, telling them he heard every single word of their gossip. He asks them if they still have any more opinions about his right to inherit. They immediately back down, trembling and begging to retire first. The prince scoffs, warning them to keep their mouths clean in the future. He tells them he could easily order his dog to take their lives. The guard's eyes widen at being called a dog. The prince realizes he might have gone a bit far with the nickname, but he laughs it off in his head. He leans in close to the guard, telling him to be quiet. "SHH, be quiet," and he whispers. He explains that those officials actually belong to the second prince, and were just trying to create a gap between them. The guard asks who exactly is the little dog. The prince tells him it's a cute nickname for Zhou Yun. He explains that the harsher he treats him in public, the more people will think the guard is just biding his time to strike. They'll think he's a pig eating a tiger, but the prince knows Zhou Yun would never actually do that. "Right?" he asks, locking eyes with him. The guard says it's hard to say and picks the prince up, noting that his highness has quite a big appetite. He tells the prince that if he wants to raise him, he's going to need to show a lot more sincerity. Just as they're having a moment, the red-haired guy bursts in with good news. He shouts that he's found his destiny person. He holds up the gloomy kid he saved, asking if he's cute. Our prince is absolutely stunned into a state of total shock. The guard can only stare blankly at the destined child as the chaos reaches a whole new level. Redhead and Blonde are having a total chibai showdown while babysitting. Redhead is beaming, showing off his new little friend. But the kid, he looks like he's already over life. Our blonde guy is absolutely losing it, demanding to know what's going on. He calls out the redhead for being a total savage for bothering a child. He tells him to return the kid immediately, but then it clicks. This face looks way too familiar. Turns out they've accidentally abducted the 14th prince, Zhu. The blonde guy's soul practically leaves his body when he realizes the stakes. He tries to play it cool, claiming he's the kid's uncle and taking him out for a field trip. The prince is just confused, while the redhead tells his friend to actually act like a human for once. Blondie warns that if anything happens to this royal brat, they're both toast. Suddenly, the little prince grabs the redhead's clothes, looking for protection. He admits that Yuchai was the one who saved him, and then he drops the ultimate bombshell: he's going to marry him. The blonde guy's face says it all, pure unadulterated shock. Meanwhile, our red-haired savage is loving every second of this free love declaration. But reality hits hard. The kid belongs in the palace, not in their chaotic care. The blonde guy realizes the emperor's request wasn't just about babysitting. The emperor wants the truth behind a concubine's drowning. And if the kid won't talk, the order is to solve him permanently. Blondie knows the palace is a death trap, so he decides it's actually safer to leave the prince with the redhead. The little prince watches them, wondering if this was all just a passing whim. Back at the residence, the crew sits down for tea to discuss the abnormal prince. They can't find a single motive for his behavior, making him a total wild card. The redhead listens intently, his playful vibe turning serious for once. He takes a sip, soaking in the danger. He promises to handle the worries. With a devious smirk, he decides it's time for a little visit. He announces they're heading to the prince's place for some torture. Under the falling leaves, he finds the prince brooding alone. He greets his little husband with peak audacity. The prince tries his best to ignore the chaos, walking toward him. But the redhead isn't taking no for an answer. He offers to pick some apricots for the kid. The prince tries to decline, but the redhead is already closing the distance. He looks down with a soft expression, while the prince remains wary. The redhead jokes that the good stuff should wait until nightfall, making things awkward. The prince gets savage, telling him if he wants power, he should find someone else to manipulate. The redhead just laughs it off. He sits down, admitting that his own body has been broken since birth. In his past, he was treated like a freak because of his constitution. Being a concubine's son was the only thing that saved his family from total shame. He grabs the prince's hand, looking deep into his eyes. He's been a loyal servant to the court for a decade, but this is personal. The prince looks back, silent and heavy-hearted. He asks the redhead to fulfill a wish. In return, the redhead offers his entire being to be used however the prince likes. The prince asks if he's ready to handle the weight of sin. He looks away, prepared to drop the darkest secret of all. He admits it, he's the one who pushed the imperial concubine into the cold pool. We jump back 14 years to the night of the crime. A woman is screaming in the throes of labor. Prince Yukayen is finally born. But as his mother holds him, she realizes something is very wrong. She frantically calls for the emperor. She can sense that her child isn't like the others. Looking at her newborn, she sees a monster in the making. Because this baby, he was born with a perfectly clear memory of everything. And he's been watching since the very first second. We dive straight into a chilling flashback where a young boy witnesses the ultimate betrayal. Concubine Qin watches coldly as his mother pleads for help while losing far too much blood. The entire bed is stained red in a scene that would haunt anyone for a lifetime. Our boy was too young to understand the gravity of this cruelty at the time. But as the years passed, his mother's death fueled a burning desire for revenge. He leans on his only ally, testing to see if the man is just another hypocrite. But the red-haired man is sharp, calling him out for lying to the emperor about who the murderer really was. He worries the kid is heading down a dark path, while our boy wonders if he's just being looked at with disgust like everyone else. In the palace, he's treated like a total pariah, and the other mothers forbid their children from playing with him. He realizes he's a different breed, an alien born with memories and a heart that doesn't feel guilt. To stay in the palace and finish his revenge, he stages a dramatic fall from the roof. He's ready to risk it all in a fake suicide attempt, but his plan hits a snag when red hair actually catches him midair. Our boy secretly hopes the man is just a brainless cun who can be easily manipulated. Instead of a lecture, red hair just starts screaming at the top of his lungs in pure frustration. He finally agrees to a deal, promising to help fulfill the boy's dark wish. He even laughs it off, calling himself a fool for getting involved. But then he drops a bombshell, suggesting our boy should just become his husband to stay by his side. The shock on our boy's face is absolutely priceless. Fast forward to the present, and the Duke is looking absolutely wrecked. Our girl immediately notices the massive dark circles under his eyes and asks if he's okay. He tries to play it cool, blaming a strange dream, but he's clearly losing his grip. To cheer him up, our girl drags him to a dog farm for some much-needed fluff therapy. She's having the time of her life with the pups. But the Duke, he's actually catching major feelings of jealousy over a literal dog. He has to step out just to catch his breath, realizing his childhood memories are starting to bleed into reality. He's haunted by visions of her smiling, and is terrified of losing control to his instincts. As the moon rises, our girl stretches, ready to head home after a long day of puppy love. He insists on sending her back first because he still has business to attend to. Our girl isn't buying it for a second. She knows he's hiding something major. But for now, they stand together under the moonlight, a storm of secrets brewing between them. It's midnight in the forest. Our girl has finally tracked down her target, putting those ninja skills she's practiced for years to the test. She watches from the shadows as he slips into a creepy abandoned building. Why is he visiting a place like this in the middle of the night? She sneaks closer, suspecting he's meeting some dangerous criminal or a wanted man. But once she peeks inside, the layout feels hauntingly familiar. Her heart drops as she realizes the truth. This is the exact room where she was once imprisoned. It's identical to her worst memories. Even though she was blindfolded when she was brought here, the internal structure is unmistakable. She carefully creeps up the stairs, sensing a heavy, suffocating atmosphere. Her eyes widen as she hears a disturbance. Could there be someone else trapped inside right now? She finds Yin Jun standing over a blood-soaked prisoner who's trembling in fear. He looks absolutely unhinged, stepping on a body without a shred of remorse. He's got that terrifyingly beautiful villain gaze going on as he looks down at his prey. The prisoner is completely terrified, calling him a total madman. Yin Jun's patience has hit rock bottom as he brandishes a blade. He demands to know who's been hired to spread rumors about the king. When he doesn't get the answer he wants, he lets the steel do the talking. The prisoner shrieks, claiming he was forced into this mess. Apparently, everything was a setup commanded by the second prince. Yin Jun looks skeptical at the mention of the prince. The guy pleads for his life, claiming the second prince only wants to help Yin Jun inherit the crown. Yin Jun's expression turns deadly as he processes the information. Behind the door, our girl is actually touched, thinking Yin Jun is doing all this dirty work just to help her. She's totally swooning over her caring little psycho. She decides to sneak away before she's spotted, not wanting him to think she doesn't trust him. Back inside, the prisoner thinks he's found an ally. He promises that with the prince's help, Yin Jun will control all the king's forces. But Yin Jun responds with a savage kick to the face. He starts laughing like a true chaotic king. He looms over the terrified man. "Do you really think I'm here to talk about business?" He sneers. He continues to laugh while grinding his boot into the guy's face. He's known all along that this was a trap set by the prince. He explains that killing for information is boring. He raises his dagger high. The only reason he's doing this, he's just in a really, really bad mood. Our girl, still lingering nearby, catches a glimpse of his terrifying eyes and starts to wonder if his madness is actually getting worse. But as she tries to back away in the dark, she makes a rookie mistake and kicks some loose rubble. Yin Jun snaps who's there. He flings the door open and our poor heroine is caught red-handed. She tries to play it cool with a nervous laugh, claiming she was just passing by. Yin Jun is not buying it and looks absolutely livid. Our girl gets salty, wondering how he dares to use that tone with her. But Yin Jun is in no mood for games, screaming at her to leave immediately or die. He slams the door right in her face. She's left standing there completely stunned, this little brat. She starts fuming, shouting back at the closed door. She challenges him to a fight right then and there. Even in their little mental theater, she's ready to throw hands. Later that night, under a full moon, Yin Jun finally returns home. Our girl is waiting for him, ready for a confrontation. She throws his own words back at him, asking where all that ruthlessness went. But then she notices something is off. His legs are shaking. He looks exhausted, telling her she doesn't have the right to ask questions. Then, in a move that makes our heart stop, he drops to his knees. He looks up at her with puppy dog eyes, asking if she'll forgive him if he tells the truth. She tries to keep her composure, telling him it depends on how obedient he is. He looks down, struggling with his own words. He finally admits that something is going wrong with his body. Our girl instantly shifts from angry to worried, asking if he's okay. He leans against the frame, looking like he's under immense pressure. His hand trembles, and he gives her one last smoldering, desperate look. He claims his cold behavior isn't about her, but he flashes back to their childhood where he used to be the one begging for cuddles. She told him he wasn't a child anymore and needed to keep his distance. Now he's filled with a dark, sordid desire that he can't control. His presence alone is enough to make the servants tremble in fear. He looks absolutely savage, admitting he's been contaminated with sin. He confesses that he only feels a spark when he sees expressions of pain. Our girl is completely chaotic, face-bombing at his bizarre confession. She starts questioning why he isn't affected by her presence during his love period. Her face is a literal tomato as she realizes the implications. Apparently, the poor guy is suffering because his equipment just isn't working anymore. Our girl starts crying, feeling his pain a little too much. She tries to play it cool, but she's sweating bullets. Suddenly, she snaps and yells his name. She boldly claims that even though she's not a doctor, she knows a thing or two about performance. She grabs his clothes and suggests they give it a little test run. He stares at her in total disbelief, repeating the word try like he's short-circuiting. He decides to trust her, letting her get dangerously close. She thinks he's as cute as a little puppy. Her hand reaches out as the tension hits an all-time high. He looks like he's about to explode from the sheer embarrassment. She starts laughing and he tells her to stop playing around. Our girl is being a total savage, teasing him relentlessly. He's sweating, realizing he might actually lose control for the first time. She gives him a smug look that says she's the boss now. Then she casually asks if he's had a bath lately. She can't help but admire those rock-hard abs while he stands there flustered. He admits he just finished washing off the blood and dust from the cells. She's pleased with that answer and leans in for a whisper. The atmosphere is electric, leaving him completely stunned. But then she pulls a tactical retreat, leaving him hanging. She asks if he's feeling energetic now, looking like a total brat. He mentions they fit well together, calling her a destiny person. But she points out the rumors about their status. In this world, they're both Gans, making it supposedly impossible to attract each other. He doesn't care about labels, asking what the difference even is. He catches them in the most compromising position imaginable. The poor guy is so confused he nearly glitches out. He quickly apologizes and tells them to carry on with their business. Zhou Yun pulls away, saying he has to meet with the general. Our girl is left reeling, wondering why he was acting so soft. He gets angry, snapping back that it's definitely not soft. He storms off, leaving her in the dust. She stands there wondering if she'd totally misread the situation. Under the full moon, the drama is only just beginning. Later at the pavilion, she learns about the 14th prince's tragic childhood. He only wanted to return the pain his mother suffered to those who caused it. It turns out he didn't even want to kill the Gai-Fi. Our girl realizes the revenge plot is much deeper than she thought. They decide they need to infiltrate the palace to find the truth. Her companion asks why they can't just go tomorrow. She looks dead serious, saying she has a much bigger problem to solve. She leans in and whispers the tragic truth. Zhou Yun's little brother has officially retired. Her friend looks absolutely horrified, realizing this is a national emergency. Our girl is dropping some seriously awkward truth bombs, claiming that Zhou Yun just doesn't work anymore. Her red-haired friend is absolutely shook, realizing the situation is way more dire than he thought. He jumps to the most scandalous conclusion possible, assuming their bedroom life is a total disaster. Before she can even explain, he's already offering to hook her up with some potent medicine to fix the Duke's performance issues. Our poor heroine is dying of embarrassment, dragging him away while screaming that they aren't even in that kind of relationship. She finally snaps, reminding him that the king basically forced her into a marriage where she'd be marrying her own adopted son. The cringe is real as she facepalms, trying to process the absolute chaos of her life. Under the moonlight, she decides to drop the ultimate secret, confessing her true identity as Zhou Yukayen. It takes a second to sink in, but the realization hits him like a freight train. He's skeptical at first, but our girl's gaze is way too intense for this to be a lie. He starts reminiscing about the good old days with General Hellion, noting how much she reminds him of that lost era. She's caught off guard by the sudden mention of the general, her heart skipping a beat. A sad smile crosses his face as he thinks back to a time when things were simple and happy. We dive into a bittersweet flashback where the sun was bright and the future seemed certain. They were just a group of hopeful recruits then, firmly believing they'd all return home as heroes. They dreamed of a peaceful life together, a dream that was shattered far too soon. Back in the present, the weight of the past hangs heavy in the air as she sips her tea. He asks the million-dollar question, did she only adopt Zhou Yun because he's the spitting image of their dead friend? Her silence says it all before she finally whispers a painful yes. The guilt is eating her alive, as she believes the general died solely because of her mistakes. Little does she know Zhou Yun is lurking in the shadows, hearing every soul-crushing word. His heart shatters into a million pieces as he realizes he's just a glorified substitute. The trauma triggers a flood of suppressed memories, sending his mind into a total tailspin. In his agony, he remembers a voice calling out for a Jun from a lifetime ago. We flash back to when they were both just 6 years old, full of innocence and light. Young Lion Jun was the righteous grandson of the martial arts leader, destined for greatness. They spent their golden afternoons napping under the trees and causing trouble. Even as kids, the bond was inseparable, though she loved to tease him about being a scaredy cat. Little Jun didn't care about the rules as long as he could stay by her side. Their eyes held a promise of a future that the world would eventually steal from them. But their peace is interrupted by a tiny, bossy lady named Zhou Yu who isn't having any of their laziness. She demands to know who they think they're calling a lady in such a savage tone. Our girl was a menace even as a child, getting into a chibai-style brawl over her favorite book. Poor Jun is caught in the middle, begging for mercy as the kids play fight. Zhou Yu huffs, telling them to stop slacking and get back to training. But our girl is stubborn, declaring that she and a Jun are going to live together forever no matter what. She doesn't care about the consequences, her loyalty is already set in stone. She shouts her love for Ajun to the heavens, making her intentions crystal clear. Young Ajun can only stare in awe at the girl who claimed his heart before he even knew what love was. In the present, she walks back to her room, feeling a heavy wave of guilt for using him as a replacement. She pushes the door open, expecting a quiet night, but the atmosphere is suffocatingly tense. She calls out to him, noticing his symptoms are acting up again, but the room is pitch black. A dark silhouette looms in the corner, radiating pure chaotic energy. The second she lights a candle, the trap is sprung. Yin Jun lunges out of the darkness, pinning her down with terrifying strength. She trembles, threatening him with the flint in her hand, but he's far past caring about threats. His voice is a low growl as he demands to know what he actually is to her in the end. In a fit of jealous rage, he loses control and bites down on her neck like a wild animal. Blood splatters as he marks her in the most savage way possible. Our girl tries to fight back, warning him that she'll beat him up if he doesn't snap out of it. But he just tightens his grip on her throat, his eyes glowing with a dangerous, unstable light. She gasps for air as the darkness starts to close in, realizing he might actually kill her. He's relentless, screaming for an answer that she's too choked up to give. She realizes in horror that this kid has completely lost his mind and might actually end her right here. Her hands claw at his, desperate for a single breath as her vision blurs. With the last of her strength, she asks if he really wants to kill his own father, throwing his righteous son title back in his face. The words hit him like a physical blow and he instantly freezes. The rage vanishes, replaced by a look of pure, unadulterated agony. He screams out in frustration, the weight of the sun label feeling like a curse. She lies there trembling, tears streaming down her face as the tension finally breaks. He breaks down completely, crying as he finally confesses his true identity as her long-lost Jun. Before she can even process the shock, he pulls her into a deep, desperate kiss. It's a chaotic mix of relief and longing as the truth finally comes to light in the most dramatic way possible. He's holding her so tight she can barely breathe. Our girl's eyes are practically popping out of her head because this was not in the script. Seriously, what is even happening right now? He's looming over her like a dark cloud, and the tension is absolutely suffocating. She tries to piece together his identity, remembering a mysterious figure from the past. He looks like he's having a total existential crisis. Suddenly, his strength gives out and he face plants right onto her shoulder. The next morning, the man of the hour finally wakes up looking like a total mess. He sits up, trying to shake off the mental fog from last night. He remembers bits and pieces of a conversation, but the details are slipping away. The more he tries to think, the more his head hurts. Most of the night is just one big, blurry blank spot to him. Just then, our girl strolls in with a basin, acting like she didn't just have a heart attack yesterday. She immediately starts scolding him, saying he was acting like a total creep. He's genuinely confused, asking what kind of nonsense he was spewing. She remembers him crying out and looking absolutely heartbroken. She tests the waters, asking if he really doesn't remember pinning her down. He gives her a blank stare, and she decides to play it cool with a savage little interrogation. She tells him a half-truth about checking his condition before he was interrupted. She even asks if he hit his head since he's acting so weirdly. He insists he's fine, but he's secretly spiraling over the missing memories. He keeps seeing flashes of his childhood and a version of her that doesn't match the present. A knock at the door interrupts his brooding. A red-haired subordinate barges in to check if the boss is finally awake. They start discussing the plan to infiltrate the palace, but our girl isn't ready to leave just yet. She's got her own agenda and thanks him for the updates. The redhead sneaks in a little side quest, poking her to get her attention. He whispers that he found the cure for that inhumane medicine they talked about. He slips her the secret stash, telling her to be extra careful with it. Once he's gone, she heads back inside to face her moody duke. He's sitting there looking like a tragic hero in a painting. He asks if she honestly believes he's just suffering from amnesia. She says if he's lying, he's doing a great job of it. She reminds him of their one-month gambling agreement that's fast approaching. If he can't prove who she is by then, his life is hers to take. He claims he hasn't forgotten a single word of their bet. She looks relieved, thinking she might actually survive this chaos. But first, she wants to fix his little mental problem. He's not in the mood for her games, but she's already dragging him along. She points out that the timing of his episodes is way too suspicious. He stares into her eyes, trying to see if she's playing him. He stands up, towering over her with that classic dominant energy. She promises she's only trying to help and tells him it's time to start the treatment. An hour later, and our girl is already over it. He's slumped over, looking completely drained after their session. He's shocked that he wasn't as scared as he was the previous night. He wonders if his disease is actually getting better or worse. Our girl sees her opening and decides it's the perfect time for a little deception. She leans in close, her eyes filled with fake concern. She whispers that forbidden name, a Jun, right into his ear. He reacts instantly, his body tensing up like a coiled spring. He grabs her, looming over her with a look that says she's in big trouble. He calls her by her real name, Zhou Yun, with a voice full of ice. His eyes glow with a savage intensity as he demands to know who she thinks she's calling. 33 years ago, the origin of this chaotic bond began with a little boy getting himself hopelessly stuck in a massive tree. Our girl finds him trembling up there, looking like a lost kitten while he begs for help. She asks what on earth he's doing, and the poor kid admits he's reached the point of no return and can't get down. She just stares him down for a second, probably wondering how he even managed this level of failure. With a sigh, she tells him to just wait right there while she takes charge. She scales the tree like a pro and reaches out a hand to the shivering boy. She tells him to hold on tight and never let go, showing off her boss energy even as a kid. He looks at her with those big, sparkly eyes, realizing she's his ultimate protector. She reminds him that even though he was adopted by her grandfather, he's officially her brother and she's the master here. He looks a little conflicted about that label, but then tries to act tough, claiming he can get down by himself at this height. Bad move because a cat suddenly appears and starts a chaotic chain reaction. The cat takes a nosedive, and as she tries to catch it, everything goes into slow motion. They both end up tumbling through the air in a total disaster and hit the ground with a massive crash. The boy blinks, realizing he's surprisingly unhurt. That's because our girl literally used herself as a human cushion, taking the full impact to save his skin. He panics instantly, screaming that he's going to find a doctor. But she grabs his clothes to stop him, her only concern being if the cat is okay. He can't believe her, calling her absolutely troublesome for being so reckless. She just gives him a sweet little smile, saying she saved the cat specifically for him. She promises that for him, she can do absolutely everything. Fast forward to a much darker time where the fields are soaked in blood and war is raging. He stands as a lone, scarred warrior, a savage beast on the battlefield. Every drop of blood spilt was a testament to that childhood promise. He looks absolutely haunted, a man who has grown up in a world of violence. The only thing left of the past is a sword buried in a lonely hill, marking a tragic end. Back in the present, the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as he looms over her. He's searching her eyes for answers, and our girl can barely look him in the face. He suddenly grabs her by the collar, demanding to know what kind of ghost has enchanted her. He wants the truth about what happened last night, and he wants it now. Our heroine is sweating bullets, trying to play it cool despite the pressure. She claims she's not entirely sure what went down, looking away with a guilty expression. In reality, he went totally feral last night and bit her right on the neck. It was a chaotic mess as he pinned her down, demanding to know who she really was. He looks at her now, realizing he actually left a mark. Seeing the blood on her skin makes his heart skip a beat. She reminds him that he called himself a Jun while he was out of it. That name hits him like a freight train because that was her late brother's name. The guilt starts pouring in as he remembers the tragedy of his past. His hands are literally shaking with suppressed emotion as he tries to process the mess he's made. He tries to find the words to explain his identity crisis. He towers over her again, looking totally intimidating. She's getting annoyed with the drama, but he firmly tells her she can't be a Jun. Suddenly, he feels a sharp, stabbing pain in his chest. He doesn't understand why he feels so incredibly sad and strange right now. He notices something off about her movement and asks if her legs are injured. She tries to brush it off, but he saw her rubbing medicine on them earlier. She insists it's just a minor bruise from riding a horse a bit too long. He's not buying her lies and brings over some medicine to take care of her. She keeps insisting she's fine and that it'll heal in 2 days. But he points out that her flesh is way too tender to ignore a wound like this. He remembers how she used to be a crying mess as a kid and feels the urge to protect her. He tells her to pay close attention to her body, making sure she knows he's not going to let her neglect herself. The Duke insists our hero pay attention to the medicine being used. He looks on with those piercing eyes, wondering if our girl's habits can ever be changed. He pulls out a small bottle and begins applying the treatment to a nasty bruise on the leg. Our poor heroine winces, asking if the powder from before wasn't enough. But the Duke is dead serious, claiming a gentle pat will make the recovery much faster. Suddenly, things get intense. While the Duke teases her for being addicted to the pain, he thinks to himself that this is simply the smell of love. As he gently touches her shoulder, the Duke knows he must take action. As he helps her up, they head out to the palace concubine court to investigate. There they find an old servant named Lai Ran who once served concubine Kai. A flashback reveals a glimpse of the library in total disarray. They press the old woman for answers, asking specifically about what happened to the birth mother of the 14th prince. We see a tragic memory of a mother holding her child. She was clearly suffering from a serious illness, and though she could have complained to the emperor, she chose to stay silent even when he asked why she was so weak. Our heroine listens to every word, sensing a deeper plot. The servant admits she's still a bit confused about the events from 10 years ago. She recalls how 2 teenage girls in the palace were inseparable, eating and sleeping together. They were the perfect partners in a palace full of enemies. Our girl realizes that if they were that close, there was no reason to leave her side during childbirth. The servant insists the concubine was kind to everyone and spent most of her time trying to recover. Just as it seems the clues have run dry, the Duke looks toward the trees. He suspects something is buried right under their feet. Everyone is caught off guard by the suggestion. He explains that trees in the same area should grow the same way, but this one shows a strange pattern of prosperity and decline. As they stare at the tree, the old servant suddenly has a breakthrough. She looks absolutely haunted as the memory returns. She confirms that concubine Kai did indeed bury something there. She remembers seeing her master in the dead of night, hands covered in mud, staring at the stars under this very tree. She was so weak she shouldn't have been out, but the servant was too afraid to ask why. Thinking back, the whole situation was incredibly eerie. The Duke looks more determined than ever, while our girl is desperate to find the truth. She asks if they're going to dig it up now. The Duke leans in with a savage smirk and says he'll dig it up for her, but only if she kisses him first. Our poor heroine is left standing there like a confused chibai, wondering how a simple investigation turned into this. Our guy suggests a kiss in exchange for his manual labor, leaving our girl completely baffled by his sudden boldness. He quickly tries to play it cool, acting like he didn't just say something totally savage. Even the subordinates are scratching their heads at the chaotic tension in the air. Watching him work triggers a wave of memories for our hero. She remembers him as a shy, blushing kid who couldn't handle a single compliment. Now he's working like a man possessed just to earn her favor. Our girl reflects on how she's basically been raising him since he was a tiny, nameless orphan. She was the one who gave him a name and a reason to smile with a simple sweet. Back then, she told him to always keep her in his heart, and he clearly took those words to heart. In the present, he's digging with the intensity of a loyal dog. He's so aggressive with the shovel that dirt is flying everywhere. And our girl can't help but find his proud and petite chibai energy hilarious. She warns him not to step on the dirt. The onlookers are absolutely swooning at the display of youth and romance. Our guy is completely short-circuiting, his brain turning to mush from the affection. He tries to hide his blushing face and gets back to work. Until the shovel finally hits something solid. They pull a mysterious, ornate wooden box from the earth. Our girl takes this discovery straight to the concubine empress. The empress is currently out for blood, demanding the exiled prince pay for his crimes. But our heroine has a much bigger bombshell to drop. She presents the box found in the old courtyard, and the empress's face instantly pales. Inside are stones and a letter that reveal a hidden, forbidden past. A flashback shows a woman named Kinmei, who was once the empress's everything. They shared apricots and dreams of a life outside the palace walls. Kinmei hated the scumbag emperor and only found solace in their secret bond. They promised to plant trees and make the cold palace feel like a real home together. Back in the present, the empress is trembling with shock. When our girl suggests they were actually lovers, the empress completely loses it. She screams that it's all nonsense and throws the box to the ground in a fit of rage. She insists their bond was just friendship, but our girl doesn't buy it for a second. She calmly picks up the box and warns the empress that if she ignores the letter inside, she will live to regret it forever. The memory of their shared swing under the trees is all that remains of a love lost to the palace walls. The footsteps echo through the silent palace, every step heavy with the weight of a kingdom's secrets. In this world, the favor of the emperor is a death sentence, and for a pregnant concubine, survival is the only crime that matters. Our girl's history is a messy web of sisterly bonds and desperate power plays. They relied on the emperor to climb the ranks, but the cost of that ambition was their very souls. Who could possibly bear the pain of seeing their lover give birth to another man's son? She stares into the void, a hollow shell of the woman she used to be. In these halls, there's no use blaming anyone for a love affair gone wrong. He asks if she's hurt, but the real damage is far deeper than anything a doctor could fix. He simply can't understand why these forbidden romances always end in such absolute tragedy. The revenge the 14th prince is seeking isn't just about one person, it's about burning the whole system down. He looks up at the sky, his eyes reflecting a darkness that hasn't been seen in years. But maybe the target of his wrath is closer than he thinks. The boy sits alone, a small, silent figure watching the world rot from the sidelines. He's been waiting for this moment, his gaze sharp enough to cut through the palace walls. He's not just a kid, he's a time bomb waiting to go off. Suddenly, a wild red-haired man peeks from behind a pillar, looking like he's about to stir up some serious chaos. He demands to know if the kid went to the palace, his face twisting with the realization that he's been played. It turns out our little husband actually lied to him, and he is not handling the betrayal well. The kid just stares him down, completely unfazed by the dramatic outburst. He asks what exactly he lied about, standing his ground while the man looms over him. If the goal was to make concubine Kin suffer for the rest of her miserable life, then mission accomplished. She's forgotten, childless, and living in a constant state of regret, a fate worse than death. But the red-haired man still doesn't understand why the kid is pushing for a deeper investigation. The boy just smirks, showing off a savage side that's honestly terrifying. He doesn't want her pain, he wants to ensure she never dreams of giving the emperor another heir ever again. Does he even realize that murdering a royal heir is a one-way ticket to the executioner's block? He laughs, a cold, hollow sound that echoes through the courtyard. He's a monster ruined by the palace, and he's perfectly fine with that being the end of his story. He's even fantasized about a world where he was never born at all. We dive into a gut-wrenching flashback of a mother who looks at her newborn with nothing but pure loathing. Little Xingkai reaches out for mother's love, but all he finds is a cold, dark void. She asks him why he even bothered to be born, her eyes filled with a resentment that's hard to watch. She laughs like a maniac, blaming this innocent baby for her loss of the emperor's favor. She was abandoned because of him, and she's going to make sure he feels every bit of that rejection. She pushes the poor kid away, her heart completely hardened by the palace's cruelty. She sits alone in the dark, cursing the day she ever gave birth to him. Why did it have to be him? The question haunts them both as they drown in their own misery. It's a cycle of chains and ghosts, where children are born into a world that already hates them. They never had a choice, and now they are forced to carry the sins of their parents forever. She looks at him with absolute disdain, laughing through her tears as the palace consumes them both. Her health is failing, the emperor has stopped calling, and she blames every bit of it on the child she never wanted. Why is she the one being abandoned while he gets to live? She strikes out at him, her frustration boiling over into violence. The poor baby falls, a tiny victim of a woman who was once a lover but is now a monster. She curses her fate, sitting in the shadows of her bed as the realization of her ruined life sets in. She asks the darkness why she even gave birth to him, the words dripping with poison. Little Xingkai just stares back with those big, innocent eyes, unaware that his existence is her greatest regret. The darkness swallows them whole, a haunting reminder that in this palace, birth is often a curse. Do we even have the right to choose whether to be born or not? The chains of destiny are heavy, binding them to a life of tragedy they never asked for. Cut to our girl waking up, looking like she's ready to choose absolute violence today. She's got that classic villainous evil smile, wondering which of these kids she should mess with first. The servants are running around like their hair is on fire, desperate for a pay raise while the master watches from the shadows. She's feeling chaotic, her mind racing with plans to flip this palace upside down. Enter the dad of the year, looking majestic and completely unaware of the storm brewing in his own house. He greets his 15-year-old daughter, Yin Lin, who's basically a human bowl of sunshine and violence. She's just finished her workout and is already off to a fight, promising to bring back sweet snacks if she wins. He sends her off with a smile, relieved that at least one of his children is honest and straightforward. But then there's 18-year-old Zhu Ming, who looks like he's about to faint just from handing over his homework. The dad immediately realizes the kid copied his brother's work, and the poor guy is absolutely dying inside. He just wants his father's praise, but his brain is currently running on dial-up internet speeds. He promises to never do it again, begging for just a sliver of validation in this life. The dad gives him a pat on the head, and the boy looks like he's just seen heaven. He tells him to work harder, and the boy nearly swoons from the unexpected affection. But the real trouble starts when the dad decides to visit the quietest child, Yinja. He sneaks in with a drink, ready to have a heart-to-heart with his quiet doll. But as soon as he sees what's on the desk, the entire vibe goes from 0 to 100 real fast. The word exile is written everywhere in a chaotic, terrifying frenzy. The dad's brain literally breaks as he tries to process the sheer amount of edge coming off his son. The boy just stares at him, his gaze colder than a winter in the north. The dad asks what he's hiding, but the answer is written in blood across the room. The word exiles repeats over and over like a demonic mantra. The dark energy is overwhelming, and the shock is so great that our poor man actually spits out blood. He dies on the spot from pure mental trauma, his world crumbling in a single moment. The Chibis have to carry his dramatic self away as the chapter ends on a totally chaotic note. Talk about a family that's completely off the rails. He's just a quiet doll, they said. He won't be any trouble, they said. Our prince reveals the bitter truth. He never even knew the warmth of his mother's milk. Instead, he survived on the pity of maids and thin rice soup while his own flesh and blood ignored him. Can you imagine your mother's final words being a question about fruit instead of a goodbye to her son? As the wind rustles the apricot tree outside, our poor boy watches the light leave her eyes. Her last wish wasn't for his happiness, but to be reunited with her lover, Kinmei. The moment her hand goes cold, something inside him snaps. He realizes his entire childhood was a sick joke, and he's finally done with the lies. It's absolutely ridiculous how everyone in this palace disguised themselves as victims. He was hated by his own mother simply for the crime of being born. He asks his guard what he could have possibly done wrong to deserve this level of cruelty. But the sadness quickly turns into a savage, chilling smile. After years of being the palace punching bag and bullied by everyone, the pieces of the puzzle finally click into place. The real monster behind his misery isn't the concubines, it's his own father, the emperor. He looks absolutely unhinged as he declares war on the throne. Even his loyal guard is shaking in his boots at the sudden change. He can't believe the treasonous words coming out of the prince's mouth. Our boy is done playing nice. He's pouring out all the venom he stored for years. He sees the court as nothing but a factory where children are born as instruments. All this suffering is just to maintain a curse called imperial power. He knows the world will call him a liar, but he's prepared to distort the truth to his advantage. He's ready to wrap himself in this darkness and play the long game. His only goal now, pure, unadulterated revenge. He grips his dagger, ready to spill blood to make a point. The guard scoffs, reminding him that the emperor has better things to do than care about a child's tantrum. Suddenly, a new player enters the chat, apologizing for the dramatic interruption. This blonde hottie tells the guard to pack his bags because they're heading back to the palace. Our prince is reeling. Did this man really keep his secrets from the emperor this whole time? He screams, demanding to know why he's being protected instead of reported. The blonde man just looks at him like he's a spicy toddler who doesn't understand the world. He reminds the prince that in the eyes of the law, he's still just a child. The prince can't process this unexpected mercy, especially when he hears that concubine Qin is being sent to the cold palace to rot for her crimes. It seems her life of luxury is officially coming to a miserable end. The blonde man claims the emperor is being kind, but our prince isn't buying that garbage for a second. He curses the dog emperor for only caring about his own reputation. The blonde man just smirks, asking if he's finally identified the true enemy of his happiness. He leans in close, ready to drop some harsh political truth bombs. He explains that the harem isn't just about love, it's a messy web of noble families and power plays. If the emperor moves too fast, the whole court collapses into civil war. The all-powerful ruler is actually just an ordinary person trapped in a golden cage of power. He's a prisoner of the very system he created. Every move he makes is a sacrifice to keep the peace. The blonde man wonders if this whole chaotic scene was the prince's plan all along. He suggests sending the boy away before he causes real trouble for everyone. But the man at the top says there's absolutely no need for that. He likes the boy's fire. He's looking for someone fierce and cruel enough to use themselves as a weapon. The blonde man is visibly confused by this dangerous logic. Could the 14th prince actually be a contender for the position of prince? A true emperor doesn't need charity or kindness. He needs to be a stone-cold savage who doesn't blink at sacrifice. Someone has to do the dirty work of purging the rot from the palace. And that someone is our boy, the 14th prince. He stands tall in the light, realizing his life is about to change forever. The blonde man tells him he is anything but ordinary. He has the bloodline, the brain, and a thirst for revenge that could burn the city down. The offer is on the table, climb the ladder step by bloody step. He'll have to crawl harder than any other prince to survive. He'll face the most desperate malice the palace has to offer. But if he reaches the top, he can fulfill his promise and rewrite the rules. He can finally marry for love and end the cycle of pain. With one clench of his fist, he can crush the entire palace system in an instant. The blonde man asks him point blank, how does that sound for deal? This is the ultimate revenge plan. And judging by the look in our prince's eyes, he's ready to watch the old world burn to the ground. Our girl is wandering through the gardens alone, but her peaceful walk is cut short by a sudden suspicious sneeze. Out of nowhere, this chaotic redhead pops up asking if she's done chatting with the boss. Our heroine is absolutely savage, calling him out for leaving her behind like yesterday's trash. He tries to play it cool, but she's calling him a total liar. He just laughs it off, looking way too unbothered for someone in the doghouse. Suddenly, he reveals his peace offering. He spent his time picking fresh apricots just for her. Our girl looks like she's about to explode from the sheer audacity. She's convinced he's just mocking her, treating her life like one big joke. She clenches her fist, feeling like a total fool in his presence. He's sweating bullets now, realizing he might have just stepped into a massive landmine. In a total chibai moment, she basically tells him he's a dummy who doesn't understand a word she's saying. He tries to get close, but she screams that she hates apricot trees more than anything in the world. The sight of the fruit triggers a tragic, haunting vision of her past. He's completely confused by her reaction. So what does he do? He literally forces an apricot into her mouth to shut her up. She's flailing and rejecting it with everything she's got. Surprisingly, the fruit is actually sweet and she stops mid-struggle. He gives her that smug how's it going look, acting like he's the king of gift-giving. He's totally proud of himself even if he doesn't get why she was so upset. It's a total mood shift as she realizes it's the best thing she's ever tasted. She's left wondering how on earth he knew, especially since she's never even touched an apricot before. He just gives a mysterious, it's a feeling answer while looking adorable. As she looks at the fruit, memories of her past life and her desperate prayer to be saved come rushing back. That dagger she held was a cry for help, and his eyes were watching her the whole time. He was just waiting for the right moment to come and eat with her. He offers to stay by her side forever, standing under the tree like a total heartthrob. Our girl is stunned into silence by his kindness. Then she starts laughing like a maniac. The laughter turns to bitter tears because he's such a beautiful fool. She breaks down sobbing, realizing the weight of the mistake she made under that very tree. Meanwhile, at the palace, the cherry blossoms are in full bloom and looking gorgeous. The blonde prince is lounging around, finally feeling like the drowning cage drama is over. His loyal shadow, Yin Jun, is busy serving tea and looking as stoic as ever. They start gossiping about the eldest brother raising poisonous worms in the palace. Yin Jun tells him to focus on his own problems, like how he was mysteriously poisoned in the past. The prince is just enjoying his sweets, acting like a total airhead. But Yin Jun drops a bombshell. There's still chronic poison in his body and they don't know the source. Chibai Prince just keeps sipping his tea, looking totally unbothered. He tries to remember if there were any suspects, but it's been way too long. Suddenly, tea starts flying everywhere as he has a realization. He realizes something huge. It wasn't Zhu Ming who was poisoned, it was Zhou Yukayen. They start bickering like an old married couple over a bet they made. Yin Jun looks dead serious, reminding him of the deal they made a month ago. The terms were simple, give your life to me. The prince is stressed, realizing time has flown by way too fast. He remembers how Yin Jun has always been his most reassuring shield. He finally stands up, and Yin Jun drops to one knee, admitting he lost the bet. According to their deal, his life now belongs to the prince. He hands over a dagger, and the prince holds it right to his throat. It's incredibly tense as they lock eyes in the silence. The prince looks conflicted, staring at the man who's always protected him. But Yin Jun doesn't flinch even with a blade at his neck. He repeats that his life is the prince's to take. The prince tries to act tough, asking if he's not afraid of actually dying. Yin Jun says he's not afraid at all, he can do whatever he wants. Suddenly, the mood gets weirdly steamy and his heart starts racing. The prince starts blushing like crazy, looking totally flustered. He's asking himself what's wrong, feeling his body getting dangerously hot. He's trembling and flushed, looking like he's about to swoon. Yin Jun just looks at him with a big question mark, totally clueless. Our boy completely collapses from the heat, and Yin Jun catches him in a panic. The prince is panting, totally out of it. He's flushed and sweaty, looking like he's caught a serious case of love or a fever. Our girl is sweating bullets because the love period is hitting her like a freight train. This monthly curse of the Kun people is no joke, and she's barely holding onto her sanity. Just as she's about to collapse, our brooding male lead steps in, looking way too handsome for her current state of mind. He's not here to help her rest. He knows exactly what kind of medicine she actually needs. Before she can even protest, he's in her personal space, sniffing her neck like she's a 5-course meal. Our heroine is screaming internally as he tells her to do whatever she wants with him. Apparently, the scent of her love period is a total siren song for Kayan people. And then things get absolutely chaotic when he starts licking her neck to soothe her. She's struggling to maintain her dignity, calling him an elder, while he's basically acting like a thirsty puppy. He claims that his saliva will actually make her feel better, which is the weirdest pickup line in history. Suddenly, the scent of his skin triggers a memory. It smells like wind-eroded rust and a scorched battlefield. She sees flashes of fire and blood from a past life, and the familiarity of it all is terrifying. She snaps out of the trance and pushes him away with everything she's got. She tries to play it off as her being fine, but her face is still a shade of red that doesn't exist in nature. He's genuinely offended that she tried to drug him, but she doesn't care and shoves him into a private room. She knows they're both dangerous right now and can't be seen in public. Behind closed curtains, the atmosphere gets heavy and the harring begins. He smirks, reminding her that she's the one who dragged him into this lion's den. She tells him that if she ordered him to die, he'd probably do it, and he doesn't even blink before agreeing. She finally realizes that the man in front of her isn't who she thought he was. After a long, exhausting night of tossing and turning, the love period finally breaks. The next morning, our girl wakes up and finds him lying right next to her, completely shirtless. She starts shaking him awake, demanding to know why he's sleeping longer than her. He's still half asleep and acting all dreamy, but he quickly clarifies that even though they spent the night together, they didn't actually do the deed. Of course, he's a total dog and goes back in for another lick just to tease her. She's wrapped in a blanket, traumatized by his behavior, and starts chasing him around the room to put some clothes on. But the comedy hour is cut short when the door slams open. It's the younger brother, and he immediately starts sniffing the air like a bloodhound. He looks at their disheveled states and asks the one question that makes their souls leave their bodies. Did you guys do it? The sheer audacity has them both ready to strike him down with lightning. It looks like their secret isn't as safe as they thought. Our girl is having a total internal meltdown, convinced she's seeing things. But the drama is real because she's planning to ditch the capital for good. The Lord is stunned, asking why she's in such a massive rush to leave his side. It turns out there's a brutal drought in the north and people are literally starving. The situation is grim, with the sky turning dark and the land cracking. News reached the capital way too late to save everyone. Our girl can't just sit back and relax, so she's determined to lead a supply train to the border. She feels incompetent, but she won't abandon her adoptive father to face the chaos alone. She refuses to enjoy her own happiness while he struggles to protect his territory. The journey is long and the stakes are high under the open sky. Every moment counts as they prepare to head out. Back at the Zhou mansion, the carriage is ready. The Lord suddenly drops a bombshell. He's coming with her. He stands firm, looking every bit the noble leader. He claims he's going to ensure the disaster relief funds don't get stolen by corrupt officials. A heavy silence falls between them, but our girl decides she'll go along with his help. He wonders if she truly trusts him, but he's got his own agenda. They walk through the gates, the tension thick enough to cut with a sword. This sudden decision was clearly prepared for her sake. Deep down, the Lord has a massive secret theory. He suspects our girl is actually the legendary General Hellion. He's convinced she's going through something unspeakable. He watches her closely, noting every detail. All signs point to a man who has been dead for a long time. The border is the last place the general lived, so it's the perfect place to uncover the truth. He's determined to find out exactly what's going on. As the sun sets on the mansion, the horses are prepped for the trek. The red-haired sidekick is having a total tantrum about being left behind to babysit the house. And look who decided to crash the party. The 14th prince is here with a savage look in his eyes. He demands to know why he can't join the fun. He's playing the mature junior card, claiming he wants to help the world. But our girl knows he's a little devil with a revenge plan to subvert the entire imperial power. She's definitely keeping an eye on this chaotic kid. The journey finally begins, and it's a long, bumpy road ahead. The horses gallop toward the horizon as the sun blazes down. Inside the carriage, things are a bit cramped. The Lord is already worrying about mountain bandits and the months-long trek. He stays silent, lost in thought. But our girl decides it's time to get bold, pulling him straight into her embrace. She tells him to just use her as a human cushion to stay steady. He's absolutely stunned by the sudden warmth. He remembers how he always liked to be by her side before everything changed. He sees her loyalty shining through every word. He's determined to help her get back to her true self, no matter what it takes. A white bird flies overhead, signaling a deep connection. He feels closer to her than ever before. As night falls, our girl is feeling the exhaustion. She tells him to stop being so stiff and just get some sleep. He settles in under the covers, the carriage rocking gently. He ends up falling fast asleep right against her chest. Our girl is internally screaming, trying to survive the fact that her crush is literally using her as a pillow. Her heart is pounding so hard she's worried it'll wake him up. She looks down at his peaceful face and starts losing her mind. She thinks back to how hard he had to endure when he was in a coma. It's hard for her to relax when he's right there. She wonders if a tiny little kiss would be too much. Her heart skips a beat as she leans in closer. She actually goes for it, catching him in a sleepy lip lock. She's in total shock that she actually did it. She quickly pulls back, hoping he didn't wake up. But the Lord is definitely feeling the heat. He keeps his eyes closed as she gets closer again. Zhou Yun is getting way too bold while our blonde hero is fast asleep. He leans in for a taste, using a flower to keep things classy but totally chaotic. He knows he needs to stop before he gets caught, but the thirst is real. Our poor guy is out cold, completely unaware of the drama unfolding inches from his face. Zhou Yun gently touches him, his heart doing backflips. He watches him breathe, wondering if he's ever going to wake up. He barely manages to keep his temper in check, frustrated by his own uncontrollable actions. Suddenly, our boy's eyes snap open. He's blushing hard, realizing that wasn't a dream, it was a straight-up kiss. His brain is doing gymnastics trying to figure out why Zhou Yun would do that. He looks over at the man in question, his heart racing a mile a minute. To clear his head, Zhou Yun goes full savage on some training dummies. He's a literal whirlwind of steel. The crowd is swooning, calling him amazing, but he's clearly distracted. One of the subordinates asks how many bandits he wrecked, but Zhou Yun doesn't even care. He's looking for his foster father, who has conveniently vanished into thin air. He hasn't seen him in days, and he's starting to get twitchy. He's not happy about the disappearance at all, and sets off to find him immediately. Meanwhile, our blonde beauty is hiding out by the river. He stares at his reflection, realizing he looks exactly like he did 20 years ago. A terrifying thought hits him. Does Zhou Yun have a crush on his foster father? Suddenly, a towel drops on his head. Zhou Yun is right there, looking handsome and intense. It's a small gesture, but it feels loaded with hidden meaning. Our hero starts spiraling, wondering if Zhou Yun's feelings have shifted. Zhou Yun leans in, asking why he's in a daze and offering to wipe his hair himself. Our guy is internally screaming because this is getting way too intimate. He tries to dismiss the idea that a man 20 years younger could actually like him. But then Zhou Yun reaches out, forcing him to look him in the eye. He drops the bomb, "Why are you avoiding me?" Our boy is stunned into silence. Zhou Yun's gaze is piercing, demanding an answer. He looks absolutely desperate for the truth. Our boy tries to play it off, acting like he has no idea what he's talking about. But Zhou Yun isn't buying the act. He can see the reaction plain as day. He suddenly drops to his knees, begging for punishment for his abrupt behavior. Our hero is losing his mind. This isn't about punishment, it's about the awkwardness. Zhou Yun looks up with a gaze that says he is definitely not kidding. He confirms his feelings with a single heavy no. Stunned, our boy tells him to just go away and leave him alone. He needs space to process this absolute chaos. Zhou Yun leaves, but the atmosphere remains heavy. Left alone, our hero realizes the most worrying thing has finally happened. Zhou Yun is acting exactly like a man from his past. Is it possible he's actually in love? We jump back 20 years to the snowy military camps. A younger version of our hero is studying military books when a young Zhou Yun enters. They share a drink to warm up, looking like the ultimate power duo. Our hero laughs, saying he couldn't survive this war without him. He's completely oblivious to the look in Zhou Yun's eyes. He feels totally at ease with his brother by his side. Zhou Yun looks down, hiding his true desires. Our hero starts talking about the future, buying houses together and living the dream. He even jokes about marrying a lovely wife and having a bunch of kids. He's laughing, thinking about the future popularity they'll have. He asks Zhou Yun what kind of girl he likes. Zhou Yun gets quiet, the mood shifting instantly. He admits he might not get another chance to say this. Suddenly, he pins our hero down. His eyes are full of a kind of desire that has nothing to do with friendship. He whispers the truth, "The person I like is you." Our hero is frozen, his heart stopping. He asks what kind of like he means. Zhou Yun moves in closer, the tension electric. His mind is blown by the realization of same-sex desire. Our beautiful blonde hero is haunted by the past, specifically how he's been avoiding Hellion since the day everything went to hell. In the heat of battle, Hellion stood his ground, sacrificing himself just so Zhou Yukayen could escape the carnage. The shock on his face says it all. Losing a comrade like that leaves a scar that never quite heals. His subordinates swore to protect him, but the weight of that sacrifice is almost too much to bear. Even now, the memory of drowning in that failure keeps him awake at night, wondering if he's doomed to repeat the same tragedy. He realizes that if he keeps running away from his feelings for Yin Jun, he's just going to end up in the same cycle of regret. It's time to stop hiding behind the riverbank and face the music. As the carriage rolls up, Zhou Yukayen decides it's time for a we need to talk moment that's definitely going to be awkward. He looks Yin Jun dead in the eye, ready to drop some truth bombs. Yin Jun, being the smooth talker he is, immediately asks if this is the part where his heart gets crushed. Our boy tries to keep it professional, but the tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a sword. He admits he doesn't see himself as a romantic partner for anyone, not even the man who died for him. You can practically hear Yin Jun's heart cracking, but he takes the rejection like a champ. He offers to disappear if his presence is too disgusting, which is honestly a top-tier guilt trip. He promises to suppress his emotions and treat Zhou Yukayen with the respect he deserves, even if it kills him. But Zhou Yukayen surprises him, saying he won't avoid him anymore because he doesn't actually hate being loved. He even gives Yin Jun permission to fall for someone else later, which is such a savage friend-zone move. Yin Jun just smirks, realizing he still has a foot in the door. He asks if he can still pursue what he wants, sending our poor hero into a total Chibai-style meltdown. Yin Jun is officially on the hunt, and he's not taking no for an answer unless he's literally kicked out. He gracefully exits the carriage, leaving Zhou Yukayen fuming in his wake. Our hero is absolutely losing it, calling him a pervert while vibrating with pure rage. He wants to throw him away like a stray cat, but his heart just won't let him be that cruel. After all, how can he be mean to the son he raised with his own two hands? He remembers the cute, innocent kid Yin Jun used to be and wonders where it all went wrong. But then he looks at the man Yin Jun has become and realizes things are getting way too complicated. Back in the day, Hellion was a total lady killer, always surrounded by fans. And now Yin Jun is standing there looking like a dark and brooding snack. The realization finally hits him like a freight train. This man actually has a massive crush on him. He starts questioning his own taste, wondering if he's secretly attracted to this chaotic energy. Fast forward to the trek north, where the wind and sand are absolutely relentless. Zhou Yukayen is hiding out in the carriage, trying to stay pretty while everyone else battles the elements. He tells the kid to stop calling him foster father since they look the same age, but Yin Jun just uses it as an excuse to get close and wrap a fur cloak around him. The sister-in-law comments are starting to fly, and our boy is reaching his breaking point. He tells Yin Jun he's being way too bold, but the response he gets is a flirtatious, "I miss you too." Zhou Yukayen literally screams into the void, wishing he could just hibernate until the journey is over. Once they settle in, Yin Jun decides it's the perfect time to be a menace. He casually drops his head into Zhou Yukayen's lap like it's the most natural thing in the world. Our hero starts pounding on him like a drum, demanding to know what the hell he's doing. Yin Jun's logic is flawless. They're getting married anyway, so why not get comfortable? Zhou Yukayen points out the tiny detail that the engagement is actually with someone else's body. The mood shifts instantly when Yin Jun asks if the original soul will ever come back to claim this form. It's a somber reminder that Zhou Yukayen is just a guest in this body, and he's prepared to give it back when the time comes. But Yin Jun breaks the tension with a literal lick to the hand, proving he's the ultimate chaotic flirt. He claims he'll respect Zhou Yukayen's choices, but his eyes say something completely different. He wants to be there for the final journey, holding on until the very end. That emotional intensity makes Zhou Yukayen's heart skip a beat, and not in the "I'm dying" way. He tries to remind himself that this is his son, but the lap pillow situation is making that lie hard to maintain. He looks down at the man he raised and feels a protective surge of affection. Of course, Yin Jun ruins the moment by nuzzling into his lap, prompting another Chibai explosion. Suddenly, they spot something suspicious in the distance. A lone figure in the middle of nowhere. Zhou Yukayen peeks out, his hero instincts kicking in immediately. A villager has stumbled out of a hidden village and is desperately calling for help. They find the poor soul collapsed in the sand, begging for a single drop of water. Zhou Yukayen springs into action, ordering his men to get water and remove the stranger's cloak. As the hood falls back, a face is revealed that shouldn't be there. Those piercing blue eyes look up, full of mystery and hidden pain. And just like that, the entire group is frozen in shock, because this villager is about to change everything. This blonde man is clearly losing his mind as he stares at the duo with total shock. He lunges forward and grabs our poor heroine, screaming that he's finally found his long-lost son, Manga. Our girl is completely weirded out, but he insists that even if her face has changed, he'd know his kid anywhere. He tries to check for a specific mark, but his eyes nearly pop out of his head when he realizes he just grabbed a girl's chest. Our girl is absolutely savage, calling him a bastard while he has a total existential crisis, realizing his son is actually a daughter. After the chaos, they retreat to the carriage where our girl tries to drink away the awkwardness. The blonde man is all apologies, admitting he was way too abrupt, but he just can't get over the family resemblance. Our girl is skeptical because he looks way too young to have a grown kid, but he just brushes it off as having a young face. He asks why she's wandering this dangerous, remote place alone, and she reveals she's on a desperate mission to deliver a letter for her father to the capital. We see a heartbreaking flashback of her father caught in a brutal sandstorm. With his final breaths, he begged her to take his luggage and fulfill his last wish. Our heroine couldn't say no to a dying man, so she set off on this impossible journey. The guys are stunned that she was planning to walk all the way to the capital alone. When she realizes these two are actually from the city, she looks like she's seen an angel. The blonde man offers to help her out, but as soon as she hands over the letter addressed to a man named Zhou Yukayen, his face goes deathly pale. The letter is a literal bombshell, warning Zhou Yukayen that the medicine Minger gave him is poisoned. The blonde man starts trembling because he recognizes the handwriting. It really is from his son. He looks like his entire world is crumbling as the dark-haired Yin Jun watches him closely. The mood shifts instantly as they mount their horses and ride into the dead of night. They are pushing the pace, desperate for answers. Our girl is sweating bullets, worried about the village and the endless sandstorm. The blonde man is spiraling, unable to understand how things became so chaotic. Yin Jun is the only one keeping a cool head, questioning if Minger actually wrote that warning. They come to a halt in the middle of the wasteland. The storm is getting worse and the tension is high. Our poor heroine blames herself for them getting lost. But the blonde man steps up to be the hero and comforts her. He promises her that her father will be just fine, showing a kindness that surprises even Yin Jun. Yin Jun watches them, noting how the blonde man is falling apart inside but still trying to protect others. Suddenly, Yin Jun looks like he's seen a ghost, his face turning a sickly shade of white. He mutters that this place feels terrifyingly familiar. He clutches his head as memories start flooding back. He tries to deny it, but it's too late. He's hit with a horrific vision of a massacre with blood and screams everywhere. He sees a younger version of himself on a battlefield soaked in blood. In his vision, the blonde man is in full armor, screaming at him to fight back during a desperate struggle. He sees a young Zhou Yukayen in the heat of battle, and the two warriors stand back to back against a sea of enemies. Back in reality, Yin Jun starts walking into the storm like a possessed man. The blonde man tells our girl to stay in the shelter while he chases after his friend. He catches up and grabs Yin Jun's arm, demanding to know what's wrong, but he suddenly trips over something buried in the sand. He looks down and freezes. It's a rusted, blood-stained sword sticking out of the earth. Suddenly, the entire landscape shifts into a ghostly nightmare. The desert is replaced by the spectral image of a frontier battlefield from 10 years ago. He turns around in terror, wondering if Yin Jun has been completely possessed by the ghosts of their past. The war was a total nightmare, leaving everyone exhausted and broken. Our poor guy finally collapsed after 3 days of nonstop fighting. It turns out a dream demon did a real number on General Hellion Jun's mind. He's been in a coma for half a month and the whole army is losing hope. The soldiers are spiraling, thinking their leader is gone for good. But then a miracle happens when medical officer Wu Xiaoyu suddenly reappears. Hellion Jun finally stirs, immediately asking for her as he wakes up. She's definitely different now, promising to bring everyone back safely. Cut to the chaos where Yin Jun is seeing things that aren't there. Zhou Yukayen tries to stop him from walking into a trap he can't return from. The tension is thick as they realize there's no other way out of this mirage. Zhou Yukayen decides to take matters into his own hands with a sudden "excuse me." He tackles him to the ground, insisting they wait for the wind to die down. They're locked in a very intense, very close-up stare. The air is practically sizzling between them right now. Yin Jun looks completely stunned by the sudden proximity. He's pinned down and clearly doesn't know how to react. "Hey, what are you doing?" he yells, completely flustered. Zhou Yukayen promises a reward if he gets the right name. They stand there in the howling wind, caught in a battle of wills. Finally, he claims he's definitely Yin Jun, even while his mind is racing. The atmosphere gets a little awkward as they both try to process what just happened. Zhou Yukayen decides that was the correct answer and delivers a spicy little reward. Yin Jun is left blushing and completely lost in thought. They continue their journey through the desert, arriving at a place that feels strangely familiar. Our girl says she misses this place and the guys are surprisingly in sync. But the questions about memories and Hellion Jun start resurfacing. He wants to know how much Zhou Yukayen actually knows about the general. He pulls him close, the drama never taking a break. Reincarnation is a heavy topic, but it seems like the only explanation. Yin Jun looks absolutely serious as he faces the truth. He asks the ultimate question, who do you really want standing here? The mood shifts as he realizes that if he is Hellion, things change. But then he breaks the tension by saying he's just happy. Our girl has a total chibai meltdown, screaming that it was just a reward to calm him down. He's left speechless by her sudden outburst. He starts teasing her, asking if he'll get more rewards if he stays sane. She's blushing hard, coughing to hide her embarrassment. They decide that only seeing Minger will give them the real answers. They head off into the sunset, leaving the desert behind. Our girl finally recognizes the area and points the way. They pick up the pace, horses galloping toward the village. She's been hoping for the truth, but now that it's close, she's hesitant. The sense of expectation is overwhelming and a bit scary. As the village comes into view, she's on high alert. Suddenly, a wave of fear washes over her. She rushes into the village calling for her grandma, excited to be home. But the streets are eerily empty and her smile fades. She panics, wondering where everyone could have gone. Grandma Lai finally appears, looking absolutely distraught. She can't believe our girl is actually back. But the news is devastating. The village chief is on his deathbed. Everyone has rushed to his side to say their final goodbyes. Our poor heroine is frozen in shock at the news. They need to get to the house immediately before it's too late. The mystical wind chime of the Tongshan family rings out, signaling a fate that defies the heavens. These men are masters of yin and yang, mysterious beings who dance on the edge of destiny. But don't let the fancy robes fool you. This unique power comes at a savage price, draining their very spirit and lifespan with every use. It's a tragic cycle where the children grow weak and die young, forced to find partners just to keep their cursed bloodline alive. Our story follows Zhu Ming, a child born into this chaotic fate, crying out as he enters a world that already wants him gone. He thought his longing was for love, but it turns out it was just a cold, reproductive instinct. In a desperate move to save his father, he sacrifices his very soul. The heavens roar with lightning as he steps into the unknown. He walks through the blinding light, his old life fading away into the rain. He thinks it's the end, the usual death that follows a soul offering. But surprise, our hero opens his eyes in the mud, gasping for air. He's confused, wondering if the secret technique actually failed since he's still breathing. He stumbles up in the pouring rain, looking totally lost. The world looks the same, but everything feels different. He looks around in a daze, trying to process the wet grass and the cold air. He stares at his hands, realizing they're small, rough, and definitely not his own. A quick look at his reflection in a puddle confirms the worst. He's in a stranger's body. He's been tossed into an unfamiliar place, and the realization hits him like a freight train. Our poor hero can't help but weep at the sheer absurdity of his situation. After asking around, he discovers the timeline is totally cooked. It's 50 years in the past. That means his father hasn't even been born yet. He's stuck in the streets, wondering what a legendary soul sacrificer is supposed to do now. First order of business, getting some food because he is absolutely starving. He tries to work, but honestly, he's a bit of a disaster at manual labor. He realizes the Kun people of this era have it rough, living a life of pure struggle. Luckily, a local girl steps in to show him how it's actually done. He leans into his new life, working hard and dreaming of the day he can head to the capital to find his father. He's determined to fix his twisted fate, no matter how many miles he has to walk. He's correcting the past one step at a time. But of course, the universe loves to be a hater, and his plan goes south immediately. Every time he tries to leave, his body gives out, as if an invisible force is chaining him to this spot. He collapses in the dirt, much to the horror of the locals. No matter how many times he tries to escape, it's completely futile. He literally ends up screaming at the sky, begging God to just let him go already. Suddenly, he stumbles upon a dramatic scene where a girl is begging her dad not to marry her off to some old man. Her father is being a total villain, trying to sell her just to pay for her brother's books. He claims she's only worth a few bucks, but a marriage could net him 3 taels of silver. Zhu Ming watches this trash fire of a father, his eyes glowing with determination. The girl tells him not to sacrifice himself for her, but our hero has had enough. He knows Kun people are seen as burdens, but he refuses to stand by. They stand back to back, unwilling to accept this trashy fate. Memories of being called useless flood back, fueling his fire. He finally understands why he was reborn in this moment. He steps up like a total boss and offers to pay the money himself. He's going to prove that his life and the lives of those like him have actual meaning. He's coughing up a storm, but he's still got that main character energy. He bursts into the village chief's house, demanding to know if the man is in. Inside, a man lies dying, his strength completely spent. His daughter Yin Yin rushes to his side, trembling with relief that she's back. The old man opens his eyes, barely able to believe his daughter returned from her dangerous journey. He's hacking up his lungs, clearly on his last legs. He scolds her for being so disobedient and going to the imperial city alone. It was a suicide mission, but she did it all for him. She just wanted to help her father, no matter the cost. The father sighs, his eyes closing as he finds peace knowing she's safe. Yin Yin breaks down, sobbing because she doesn't want to lose another family member. It's a total tearjerker as she mourns at his bedside. But then a voice reminds her that she's never killed anyone and shouldn't carry that guilt. Our hero looks on, heartbroken for her. He's told to stop taking every mistake to heart, a habit he really needs to break. The father stares up one last time, the weight of the past finally settling. She's out here looking like a whole mood under the moonlight, lost in her own tragic thoughts. But before she can get too deep into her feelings, the Duke steps in. He's playing the protective role, draping a cloak over our girl so she doesn't catch a cold while she's busy being dramatic. She's thankful, but honestly, her head is a total mess right now. She's thinking about the absolute tragedy of outliving the people you love. I mean, finding out your son was reborn 50 years in the past. Talk about a massive timeline glitch. The Duke grabs her arm to ground her, his gaze intense enough to melt ice. He tells her the truth. The old man left this world with a peaceful smile on his face. We see him one last time, looking totally at peace while surrounded by spiritual riches. He died a hero, ensuring everyone in his village survived the catastrophe. Now, all they can do is burn offerings and remember the legends of the past. A vision of the stunning Wu Zioyu appears, and she was definitely a baddie back in the day. She promised to bring everyone back, no matter what it took. The Duke's eyes widen as he recalls the name of the woman who changed their destiny. Our girl watches him closely, sensing the deep connection he still feels to those old memories. He reminds her that despite the passage of time, his soul remains the same. He's clearly struggling with the weight of his past life, but he tells her to just hush and listen for a second. He's ready to spill all the tea on their childhood. Back in the day, they were a legendary trio of besties. They were inseparable, causing chaos and living their best lives together. But then war happened, and it absolutely shattered their world. Zioyu went from a normal girl to being completely obsessed with magic. She was convinced she could bring their fallen friend back from the dead. She claimed she was saved by a mysterious sorcerer on the battlefield, a man who looks suspiciously familiar to our Duke. He's putting the pieces together now, and he does not like the picture they're forming. She was using forbidden techniques to recall lost souls. It turns out she wasn't just acting out, she was desperate to leave a child who could inherit their bloodline. They sit by the fire, the dark truth finally coming to light. She prepared herself as a human sacrifice, a total ride or die move that went horribly wrong. To the common folk, she was a literal goddess of mercy. She spent years building relationships with everyone in the palace and treating them like friends. But it was all a trap. She only befriended them so she'd have close relatives to sacrifice for her ritual. That is peak savage energy right there. The ritual was a bloody, chaotic mess that ended in total failure. When our guy finally found her, the scene was straight out of a horror movie. It was so gruesome, he literally lost his lunch. He's crying now, realizing she did all those terrible things just to help him clean up the mess. Back in the present, the Duke is absolutely losing it, clutching his head in agony. He demands to know why she would sacrifice herself for someone like him. Our girl tries to soothe him, telling him to stop overthinking it. He pulls her into a massive hug, reminding her that they've both been given a second chance. He looks her dead in the eye and promises he'll never regret what he's done for her. She's absolutely stunned by his devotion. A single tear falls as she whispers her thanks. She asks about the others, wondering where their souls ended up. They sit together, wondering if their friends are out there somewhere. Maybe they've been reborn into ordinary, peaceful lives. No more battlefields, just everyday moments. Kids playing in the streets without a care in the world. Couples living happily ever after in total anonymity. As they look up at the stars, the first drops of rain begin to fall. It's like the sky is crying right along with them. The downpour gets heavier, washing away the pain of the past. They stand together, soaking wet but finally free. Even a tiny sprout finds strength in the rain. They retreat to the safety of their tent as the storm rages outside. He tells her she needs to sleep because she hasn't rested in 3 days. She tries to play it cool and say she's not sleepy, but he's not having it, gently guiding her to rest. She finally collapses onto the bed, the sadness finally catching up to her. He watches over her like a guardian angel. He tucks her in and promises he'll always be by her side. But she remembers the time he left her on the battlefield and isn't letting him off that easy. He starts stripping off his outer layers and things are getting spicy. She sits up, totally flustered by his sudden boldness. He grabs her shoulder, proving he's still the same man she's always known. They end up in bed together and the tension is through the roof. He leans in close, his breath hitching as he looks at her. He cups her face with so much love it's actually criminal. He'll always be the boy she saved, and now he's the man who's going to protect her forever. Yin Jun flashes a smile that could melt glaciers. Our boy Yukayen is absolutely flustered, calling him strange while roses literally bloom in the background. Seriously, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a sword. Yin Jun starts catching a scent that sends him into a tailspin. He realizes it's that time again and his gaze gets heavy with concern. Our poor hero is looking totally drained, caught in the middle of a brutal estrus attack. He whispers that he's tired, sending Yin Jun's inner wolf into a chaotic panic. Yin Jun moves in, telling him it's time to be relieved. He gently insists that our boy needs to lie down if he's feeling sick. Then he drops the hammer, offering to help him through this feverish moment. Zhou Yukayen's brain has completely checked out as he lets Yin Jun take the lead. Yin Jun's face is flushed red as he asks if he should go even stronger. A hand reaches out in desperation as our hero lets out a gasp that echoes through the room. He's trembling, caught in a whirlwind of emotion, but the intimacy is already off the charts. They share a quiet, heavy moment in each other's arms. Yin Jun looks him in the eye, asking if he's still going to reject him after all this. Zhou Yukayen is a blushing mess, surrounded by the scent of roses and raw emotion. He tries to play it cool, saying just the scent is enough to help him recover. But Yin Jun isn't having it, the scent is just a tease. He needs way more than that and leans in to claim what's his. He whispers like this as things get incredibly spicy. They're lost in each other and the atmosphere is pure chaos. Yin Jun tries to keep him quiet with a SHH as the heat levels hit the ceiling. Afterward, he checks in to see if our boy is feeling any better. Surprisingly, Zhou Yun says no. Yin Jun asks if he's going to refuse him again, but the answer is a breathless no. It's not enough, our hero is craving more. Yin Jun is stunned for a second before that savage smirk returns. He's more than happy to oblige. He tells him to trust him as he pulls the covers over both of them. He's determined to help him forget every single one of his troubles. Looking back, our girl realizes Yukayen was always carrying a heavy burden of loneliness. Their first meeting was a total disaster of embarrassment, and back then she felt completely useless to him. She wanted to repay him like a daughter would, but she had no idea where to even start. It took time, but she eventually saw the truth. Yukayen was desperately lonely. He moved so fast and lived so intensely that no one could ever keep up with his pace. So she pushed herself to the limit just to catch a glimpse of his back, training and studying until she finally earned the right to stand by his side. She pledged her absolute loyalty, finally getting the chance to uncover the secrets of his painful past. Every night, she finds herself living through the eyes of a general named Yin Jun, seeing the innocence of their childhood. Even if it's uncomfortable to live another life, she's finally starting to understand. She realizes that a man with power over 10,000 people doesn't actually care about titles. He doesn't want more authority or glory. All he truly craves is a simple garden, a warm home, and a jug of wine. He wants a life shared with a few old friends, and most importantly, children to fill the halls. She looks at him with so much love it hurts, promising right then and there that she will never leave his side again. Even though her sudden desire for a child might be the bloodline talking, she knows her heart is in it for real. She's ready to share every single burden he carries. Fast forward 8 whole years and the bells are ringing for a massive celebration. Firecrackers are exploding everywhere because the most beautiful bride is finally tying the knot. The groom is looking like a total snack on his horse, while the kids gossip about how everyone is praising their aunt. Little Yin Lin is all smiles, thanking everyone for coming to the wedding. But the other kids are being savage, joking that the groom looks like a grumpy old man. He's definitely not amused by their chaotic energy. Yin Jun is now 28 and looking absolutely regal, valuing this day more than anything. He calls the kids over, telling them Zhou Yun needs a groomsman. The little ones head off with a cute wave, but not before a reminder that their family tree is a total mess that would scare normal people. He smirks, looking like a total heartthrob, reminding them that their father is the most famous man in the court. Our girl just laughs it off, giving him the brightest smile. Meanwhile, over at the palace, someone is scaling the walls like a pro, leaping across the rooftops with zero fear. They disappear into the trees. It turns out it's just the imperial concubine trying to make a break for it. He's whining about how hard it is to be a concubine when you just want to go to a wedding. He remembers how the brothers used to be just as chaotic, and honestly, he just really wants a kid of his own. But his escape plan hits a massive wall when the emperor himself shows up. Meet Zhu Zingkai, the 22-year-old new emperor who is definitely not in the mood for games. He catches our red-haired troublemaker red-handed. He starts listing off all the crazy stuff the concubine has done, like climbing walls to go to fairs and knocking out guards to find his brother. The emperor asks if he has any self-awareness at all while he's out here fighting bandits and acting wild. Our boy starts fake crying because he hates being stuck in the palace. He's tired of the rules and the gross medicine. But the emperor is just worried about his health, saying pregnancy is too dangerous for him right now. The concubine gets petty and tells him to just go take another concubine then. The emperor's face goes totally dark at the suggestion. He makes it crystal clear he will never take anyone else. He grabs him by the chin, asking if he's trying to provoke him on purpose. The air gets thick with tension as they lock eyes. Then the emperor drops a total bombshell, suggesting they do it right there in the wild. He smirks, asking if this is just another seduction tactic. Our boy immediately panics and tries to bolt again, looking totally guilty when he gets caught. He tries to claim he has important business at the wedding. The emperor pulls him close, saying he's allowed to go, but only if they go together. He tells him he needs to stop running away and just rest. He promises that the political games are almost over. Once the dust settles, they'll finally have their own real wedding. It's a promise he intends to keep. 5 years later, the world has changed. Rebels were wiped out, and the truth about the poisoning of the third brother was finally revealed. The traitor is dragged away. And finally, Zhou Yukayen's spirit can rest in peace. We leave our favorites enjoying a quiet moment of fishing. It's the end of the road, but wait, there's still an extra chapter coming. Our girl Yuchai has been a human hurricane since the very beginning, always finding new ways to keep everyone on their toes. She's out here bringing giant watermelons and even bigger chaos to the palace. Zingkai just wants to eat his snacks in peace, but but Yuchai is determined to turn every meal into a theatrical performance. She drags him along on her wild adventures like it's a full-time job, even performing sword-swallowing tricks that leave our poor hero absolutely speechless. While Zinkai tries to maintain some dignity with his own training, he inevitably ends up exhausted from just trying to keep up with her energy. The romantic tension is officially off the charts as they share a tender moment. Switching gears to the side stories, Yuchai is out here getting impeached by the court for being way too savage. Her solution to political opponents? She literally throws them across the room like they're made of paper. She's the definition of a chaotic queen, even when she's supposed to be acting refined with the other concubines. At the royal hunt, everyone is shocked when she casually strolls back carrying a literal tiger over her shoulder. When it finally comes time for the babies to arrive, even our fearless girl is shaking in her boots. She ends up giving birth to 3 dragon sons all at once, which is a massive flex. The nursery is immediately filled with the sounds of 3 tiny terras crying for attention. Our girl is exhausted but looks absolutely radiant as she rests. Her first order of business after labor, demanding 20 helpings of pig's trotters immediately. But wait, the plot thickens when a past version of Yin Jun accidentally time travels into the current timeline. He's incredibly confused as to why his friend has suddenly shrunk into a smaller version of himself. Before they can even explain, the adult Zinkai bursts through the door ready for a fight. He heard a man who looks exactly like him was in his wife's room, and he is not playing around. The jealousy is palpable as the 2 versions of the same man stare each other down. Blonde Yin Jun is just out here being a menace, teasing them about how they even managed to have a baby together in the future. It's a total house of cards as they try to manage the overlapping timelines. Things get deep when they discuss the tragic fate the younger version is supposed to face in his own time. Adult Zinkai grabs him, desperate to make sure he lives a better life than the one he remembers. So even with all the bickering and the barking dog energy, they realize that their bond is the one thing that stays constant. Blonde Yin Jun even lightens the mood with some cat ears because why not embrace the chaos? They make a solemn vow to always protect their happiness, regardless of which world they're. Seeing both couples standing together is a total fever dream. They reflect on how a single choice can create an entirely different destiny. But as they look up at the stars together, they know that as long as they have each other, every version of their story is a masterpiece.